X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. Why do they just in arrogance when they fall from the battles I have overcome? We feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep thinking with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me right now, punch your things now. Show you how.
Good morning. Well, I guess it's already afternoon. I'm already sleepy today. I feel like it's morning. And I didn't sleep in or anything like that. I just woke up really early. I guess it already feels like evening, I should say. Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a good one. It's so good to see all of you. What's up, Adante Asai, Cryptid T, Lore Please, Cleaver120, Dead Heathen, Transgal, Delancer, Avalon of Babylon, Orther's Dork, Cleaver120, Tommy Dude. So good to see you guys. Hello, Senko Toast, Dan Share, Astronaut Lad 172. Hello, hello. Crick Chirp, good to see you. Perry Icefire, how are you? Gumdrop Cat, good to see you. Hello, Regular Dude 313, how are you? Zan, change your theme song before my wall gets a hole in it. What do you mean? You don't like my theme song? Everyone else loves it. Didn't you see all the DJ Peppos in my chat? What do you mean? I will tell you that you are in the minority if you don't enjoy it. It makes me furious in the right way? Oh, in the right way. Like it gets you pumped. Like you want to fight. Okay. Alright, I understand what you mean. Like it gets you pumped up to like boss battle music. I like that. That's good. That's good. Like a teen from the 90s listening to Green Day. Ah, I see. You said my name twice, by the way? Listen. I'm sorry. One day, I will be able to remember everyone who I've already said's name already. Despite their name coming up in chat, I'll be able to remember, oh, I already said that person's name. Now, I get one or two people I repeat on accident. Also, don't call it out. When I say more names, it makes it sound like I've got more people in my chat. Come on. Be a team player. What song was it? My theme song. It's an original song called The X in My Name, and it was written about me and performed about me. It's true. It's real and true. I've got some pretty awesome segments laid out for today, guys. Oh boy. You guys are in for a spicy stream. So, rat update, by the way, chat. For those that don't know, I've put out a bunch of feeders and seed out in my yard, in my backyard, and I've attracted tons and tons of birds. But the other day, I saw a rat come out from underneath my back deck, and I do not want them coming inside of my house. So, listen, I don't hate rats or anything like that, but these ones have to die. So, I'm looking into the ways in which I can do it. Traps are not ideal for a variety of reasons. Poison is not an option. I really just prefer shooting all of them with like a .22 air rifle, but I still need to check if that's legal to do in my backyard where I am. It's unlikely that I'd get like in trouble for it. It's quite quiet. It's just an air rifle, but I've used air rifles to shoot many rats before, so I know it'll work. I know it'll go straight into their head and drop them fast. But yeah. Well, I can't introduce snakes because, one, I don't think snakes can really survive in this weather. And two, I've got birds that I'm trying to attract and keep here and keep safe. And on top of that, snakes are a problem. What I'm looking to attract are owls. I'm probably going to get some big owl boxes, like owl houses. Heh, the owl house, like that show everyone likes. I'll probably get some owl houses and like mount them to some trees and stuff. And see if I can get some, sky cats. And they can do some nocturnal rat hunting for me. And that'll probably just help to keep them away once I've dealt with the problem. Traps that snap the rat's neck are the most humane? No, I'd say shooting them in the head and them just like instantly lights out is the most humane. I feel like neck snapping has got to keep the brain active for a bit, but just getting the brain completely destroyed in like a fraction of a second has got to be quicker and more humane. That's just my opinion. And when you've got like a zeroed in scope on like a longish range, however long range you can get an air rifle to go, air rifle, it's not that hard to just never miss. Because it's meant to be like mounted, and when you're shooting with a zeroed in scope mounted, you're not, no skill required practically. You just kind of like steadily squeeze the trigger whenever it's time. And you have to have a decent enough grasp of like when the mouse or rat is gonna move. That's a big thing, because sometimes they turn like really unexpectedly, and if you hit them in the shoulder or the chest or the side, they'll still die very shortly, but they're gonna get away first, and that's never good. I don't need to explain why it's never good that they get a few seconds plus to get away before they bleed out and die. It's got to be quick and clean. Xanderhall branding throwing knives? That would go pretty hard. That would go pretty hard. I don't think it's legal. I feel like you have to... Well, no, it should be legal. Because, like, you can just forge railroad spike knives and sell them at, like, a flea market just fine. I guess technically I could do that, as long as they're not, like, a type of mechanical knife that's banned. Xanderhall, any advice for getting better at the actual speaking part of debate and such, not the rhetorical stuff? If you don't mind, random ask question in the intro section. This is going to be an answer a lot of people aren't going to like, but it's practice. But I've gotten better at explaining how this practice works, right? The way I like to... Okay, think of it like learning a really complicated Minecraft mod pack, right? You don't necessarily try to learn the entire mod pack at once. You learn it like one mod at a time, one step at a time, for whatever you need to get to at this moment right now, and you learn it step by step by step. Public speaking is very similar, and that is what speaking when you're in a debate is, public speaking. And it just takes a ton of practice. The first thing you want to start off by practicing is becoming more comfortable with pauses. If you go back and watch earlier videos and streams of mine, you'll notice I use like and a lot to bridge my sentences. I use those nothing words as a basis or a little, I did it just then. I do it occasionally, right? But I've cut it out a lot, right? And it's one of the biggest things you can practice is replacing like, with just pauses, right? And you can do it when it's like rhetorically tasteful. I feel like there are times where it can come off as rhetorically tasteful, but generally in public speaking, you want to get rid of it. And you don't even realize how much you're doing it until you look for it. So you have to get way more comfortable with stopping, being comfortable with a second or two of silence, and just thinking out what you're going to say before you say it. I know that sounds simple, but it's actually a lot harder than you think, and you have to just do it for a long time before you get as good at it as I am, or as good at it as many people who are way better than me are at it, you know? I like, never use, filler words and stuff. Like Beavis and Butt. You don't want to sound like Beavis and Butthead, right? Also, there's other filler words you can use that are less common and come off better, I think. I just got a funny message. That's funny. Anyway, Arthur's Dork, or Orthur's Dork, thank you so much for the $20 donation. God damn, what a great way to start the stream. Thank you. Said only dono for this stream as work is on the schedule for today, but just wanted to remind y'all to drink water. True, I do need to take a sippy. Wear sunscreen, not where I live. And take some time to take care of yourselves. True. Absolutely true. I hope you guys are taking good care of yourselves. I hope you're having a good New Year so far. My New Year's been pretty good. I'm having a fun time. Thank you so much for the support, Arthur's Dork. Based and poggers of you. By the way, I'm sorry for streaming an hour late today. I've wanted to start streaming solely starting at noon PST every day from here on out. And I'm going to be doing that, but for today I had to delay it for an hour, or delay it by an hour, because I had a meeting to do at noon. But it went for 30 minutes, so I just delayed it an hour, and it didn't really cause too much of a problem. But that means stream's going to go a little later today. That means you get an extra hour of stream, probably. Presumably. Is it presumably or presumedly? I think it's presumedly, right? That's one of those words I always fumble the pronunciation of. It's presumably. Okay. No, I got it right. All right. God, I always felt dumb the way I pronounced it for no reason. Interesting. Okay, really quick. Let me bring up the first segmentarino. I want to have it ready because we're going to start in a hot minute. YouTube, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Okay. Ah, yes. I obviously want everything that I watch to autoplay. Here, actually, I'm going to get an extra sippy. My lips be dry. Why do I look like the Jetpack Joyride guy? Is it because this little swiggle of my hair that's come down? My hair's gotten so long I can't prevent, like, curls from coming down on my face. I think it looks not too bad, honestly. You know, of all the outcomes that could happen with my insane hair being all curly, I think that, like, just kind of combing it to the side and having a little bit of a Superman curl, like bargain bin Superman curl, is, you know, not that bad of an outcome. Can you sweep it back? No. No, I can't. No, I can't. And I refuse. I like how it looks right now. I wear my hair how I like it, okay? Don't tell boys what to wear. Teach the girls not to stare, okay? I fucking love saying that. Do you go to a barber when you get it cut, or do you cut it yourself? I don't cut my hair myself. What kind of magical deity do you think I am? I go to a barber, but I haven't gone to one since I got COVID. The first time, I believe. So, yeah, I've not really gotten a haircut in a hot minute. It grows fast, long, and thick. So I need to get that nice and buzzed away. All right, everyone. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Okay, everybody. So I've been sent this video quite a few times because it's gone pretty viral in the last 8 days. 5.3 million views. Whoa. 5.3 million views. God damn. From this channel called Tyler Oliveira. He's got 5.37 million subs. Jesus. What are his videos about? It seems like, by the looks of things, he does this mixture of, like, Copaganda, like, conservative videos, fear-mongering about, like, poor people in cities, and weird conspiracy shit. I investigated if the Earth is flat. I investigated if aliens built the pyramids. But then, like, these political ones get way more views, so you can probably tell. I bet you can see when he started to realize that politics would make him more money. I investigated the city that traps homeless people forever. Well, that seems like a actually decent topic. I interviewed the most racist man in America. I investigated McDonald's ice cream machines. Like, you could very clearly tell. I snuck onto Jeffrey Epstein's island. Okay. I feel like some of these gotta be memes and trolls. But is this just like, yeah, is this Tom Scott for edgy teenagers? Is that what this is supposed to be? Also, I love these thumbnails. Just phenomenal. Of course, we're gonna be watching this one. I investigated the city that banned police. You will not believe. I have not pre-watched this. I watched the first 10 seconds. Saw him say which city he's talking about. And I immediately had to cover this. I had to stop watching it and just save it for a blind reaction. God, this video is long. We're going to watch it on 1.2 times speed, okay? I hope you guys don't mind that, but it's a long one. Okay. I investigated the city that banned police. Hilarious title, by the way.
Seattle, Washington.
This is the point where I immediately paused it, stopped watching, immediately realized I have to cover this on stream. Fucking Seattle, Washington has supposedly banned police. Okay, now, I am an actual resident of Seattle, as in, I don't want to dox myself, but I could walk to the Space Needle before nightfall, okay? That's how close I am. That's how up in Seattle I am. And now, what I imagine he's going to be getting a lot into, just based off of the imagery we're seeing off the bat, is probably going to be that Chaz or Chop location they did, where it was like 2 blocks of the city got like barred down by hippie protesters and Antifa dudes, and like they just kind of like did a big hippie co-op there for 2 weeks or something. Obviously, it wasn't the whole city. They weren't, like, burning down all the buildings and everything. It was basically just a massive hippie sit-in that lasted 2 weeks. It's nothing new. It's not some, like, crazy new communist idea. These happened a lot in the 60s. It was Chaz. Yeah, lots of drugs and hippies, really. It's literally shit that was happening way more than it does now back in the 60s and 70s here in America, so especially in San Francisco. I believe there was like an entire big event very similar that happened in San Francisco in like the 60s or 70s or something like that. That aside, though, living in Seattle, I will definitely say there is a problem with homelessness. Now, you'll notice that a lot of people on the right and in the center tend to say there's a homeless problem, right? When they talk about any city. Now, to be clear, Republicans for a long time have loved to say Democrat cities are overrun with crime. The issue is pretty much every city compared to not city is overrun with crime because there's a higher density of people by default. And pretty much every city is Democrat run because the more high population density, the more diverse, the more high education, the more availability for basic everything, the more progressive you tend to be, the more likely you are to vote Democrat. That just tends to be how it goes. Cities tend to vote blue. And cities are where you're going to have the highest density of crime and other things that people consider to be distasteful behavior, like there being homeless people. Now, here's the problem. When people say a city has a homeless problem, quote unquote, that's very different than saying a city has a homelessness problem. So homelessness as a problem is absolutely a huge deal in Seattle. There's like a lot of fucking homeless people. They don't really seem to have any realistic way out of homelessness. And I've seen a lot of homeless people in Seattle walking around with like nothing but a blanket and a shopping cart on days that are so fucking cold that I am just speed walking back home to get to my heat, you know? And I'm just like, fuck, man, he's got it rough, you know? You know what I'm talking about. If you've ever been to a big city where it gets cold, especially, you know what I'm talking about. This is a failing of our government. This is the most powerful and most wealthy nation in the world, bar none. There is no reason why so many people, especially such a large percentage, by the way, a large percentage, I think it's like more than half of homeless people are veterans. Are literally veterans who are now completely disgraced by society as far as pretty much anyone is concerned. So in the most wealthy country in the world, we just allow a large portion of people who we virtue signal about having given their lives for this country, we just allow them to basically, you know, live on the street. They can figure it out. If you don't have like an address, if you don't have, hey Tipster, if you don't have like the basic things that someone who lives in a home has, it is so much harder to just get a job, right? Like imagine you haven't showered in 20 days and you have to go in for a job interview so you can try to get a job and get off the street. Like let's assume you're doing everything in your power possible to like pull up your bootstraps. It's pretty tough. Now, obviously, there are ways. Like, I could theoretically put together a plan in which a homeless person could, like, put their life back together. But that requires the ability to sit in a comfy room at a computer and plan that kind of thing out. A luxury that homeless people typically do not have. And so this is a failing of our government. It's a failing of many levels of our government. But conservatives love to fearmonger about homeless people being the problem. They talk about homeless people like they're sort of a force of nature, like they're zombies or something from The Walking Dead. I mean, hell, look at shows like South Park that are written by conservatives, and they literally parody zombie movies to represent homeless people. Homeless people are very, very demonized. And don't get me wrong, the propaganda is not necessarily the only thing contributing to this. A lot of people... I have to disagree really quick. You don't believe that homeless people are demonized by a lot of people? Matt and Trey are shitheads, but they're very clearly dumbass libertarians. Yes, they're right-leaning. That's what I mean. You are being pedantic, nerd, but I get what you mean. Listen, I spoke to somebody who knew... I spoke to somebody who knew someone who was friends with not Matt and Trey, but I believe just Trey Parker. Maybe it was just Matt Stone. Just one of the two. And from that, what I got from that was they're more conservative than they even let on. Regardless, though, that's not what we're talking about here. Okay, you're giving me ADHD fuel, Njord. the point is, when you look at a lot of conservative messaging, it demonizes homeless people severely. Now, to be fair, a lot of people have had experiences, if they live in cities especially, like what I have, right? I talked about this story literally yesterday on stream, ironically enough, but I was walking to the dispensary to get vapes at the old place in Seattle that I lived, and I had to cross this big 6-lane intersection where you have to hit a button and wait for the, like, crosswalk sign on the across the street to say you can walk. And across the street, on the other side of the crosswalk, is this homeless guy who is actively screaming insults and threats at every single car that goes by. And he is, like, standing up and verbally, like, physically gesturing at how much, like angrily, you know? It's obvious he wants to hurt the people that are driving by, or at least he wants to scare them. He's not in his right mind. It's like, okay, that guy probably shouldn't be on the street. I'm gonna go ahead and divert my path. I don't want to get attacked. And so, if you live in a city, you've probably seen or experienced stuff like this. Instances like that, I imagine, are going to be clipped and chimped and shipped quite frequently in this video, as we already are right in the beginning. But as someone who lives in Seattle, it's not like falling apart in ruin like conservatives are claiming it is. Like, even in this video, by the way, where you see, like, the homeless dude who's fallen over on the sidewalk, you can see this is, like, a really nice street. Like, you got the Christmas lights up, people are walking around and shopping, you know? Like, it's cold as fuck. Honestly, this dude's probably high because it's literally unbearably cold, and he's trying to take his mind off of the fact that he's, like, literally in pain. Also, by the way, a lot of conservatives like to lie about this. They lie about this very readily. The idea that, like, lazy, bad people get into drugs and then it ruins their life and they become homeless. And homelessness is, like, they try to push this, like, implied idea that homelessness is a punishment for people ruining their own lives with their own bad life choices, when in reality, it's been found statistically that the drug addiction, tends to follow the homelessness. And that makes more sense, right? Like, people, if they become homeless, are going to turn to, like, the only vice, the only escapism, the strongest escapism they can possibly access, because the real world is just misery. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking before the video even starts now.
Potential overdose! Anyone have Narcan? This guy's still following us, by the way.
I'm fine.
Whoa.
I'm fine.
Drug addiction. Ma'am, are you okay? Homelessness.
Just understand that you guys are just one paycheck away from being out here too.
Racism.
That's crazy that I recognize that homeless camp, by the way. Seattle's a big city and all, but, like, I literally have been down this little highway bit here so many times and seen this little homeless camp. These plants right here that you can't really see too well through the chat are actually blackberry bushes. They're everywhere here in Seattle, fucking everywhere. Also, that is the Space Needle. See it? That's the Space Needle right there. Yeah, this is, like, this is pretty close to the heart of Seattle for sure. Yeah, no, it's just going to be a bunch of random clips, by the way. Conservatives don't care about data. Reading studies and looking at, like, spreadsheets that show, like, this or that or prove this or that that's not entertaining to them. It's not fun to them. Most of the people who consume this content just want to see video clips of things happening at disparate times and disparate locations and have it fuel a narrative that upsets them further. Yeah, it's rage bait, but it's also entertainment. People want to be able to turn their brains off and just trust what people like this tell them. And don't get me wrong, homelessness is a huge problem in Seattle. It really is. But the homeless people are not the problem. I'm glad that it seems like he's at least interviewing some homeless people. Like, it's not all meant to be rage fuel. But, I mean, the framing of this seems to be like, they hate cops, and this is what happens when you hate cops. No, every city has always had crime problems through all of American history. That has been the case because there's a higher density of people. It has been the case in every other nation on Earth, all right? Like, this is a failing of the government.
homelessness,
Just understand that you guys are just one paycheck away from being out here too.
racism,
There's nothing wrong with being racist.
protests, crime,
and being trafficked against my will.
chaos. Are you on fentanyl right now?
Pooping.
Wait, you're taking a poop? And free fentanyl?
They're out here just giving out free fentanyl.
Really?
It's a non-profit.
This is real?
Who wants free fentanyl? Line up. This is how you clean up the streets.
3 years ago in June of
There's no way that guy's real. There's no way that guy's for real. That he's screaming like free fentanyl on the streets. He's memeing. That's a meme. Because, like, fentanyl's literally the meme drug that the cops are afraid will, like... Okay, my old landlord at my old place told me a story about how his, like, someone he knew's car got broken into and stolen, and then the car was recovered, but there was a little bit of white powder in the car, and they tested it, and it was fentanyl. And so the police had to come and completely destroy the car because there's no way to clean it and sanitize it to the extent that it's safe, because, like, if you touch it, you'll die. It's, like, radioactive. And I'm just sitting there listening to this story, and I'm not interested in debating, you know? I'm not interested in debating on this topic. But yeah, like, that dude was literally trolling. Unironically, that dude was trolling this guy.
2020, Seattle protests emerged following the death of George Floyd and denouncing racial injustice and police brutality. These protests were met with a heavy-handed police response using tear gas, glass balls, takedowns, and arrests as protests turned to riots and chaos and looting ensued. In an effort...
I do love how the blatant hypocrisy and conservatism has stopped being as lampshaded as it used to be. Back in the day, conservative like right-wing figures wouldn't, like, they would acknowledge the fact that there is some hypocrisy in the fact that they want to ban the burning of the American flag, but at the same time they're super First Amendment and they want to preserve their own freedom of speech. They would try to lampshade it and make really pithy arguments about how that's somehow not hypocritical. And essentially what I'm noticing here is they've just stopped acknowledging it altogether. That, like, when the left protests, or when people they disagree with protests, they frame it as rioting that needs to be quelled with, like, strong police presence. But whenever any case in which a protest their side does goes violent, like January 6th, there's endless amounts of apologetics. Endless amounts of apologetics and even outright demonization of the police, while in the same breath defending the police and saying the left are the ones that want them dismantled.
To placate protesters, the mayor surrendered 5 blocks of the Capitol Hill neighborhood, and the police evacuated the zone completely, leading protesters to occupy the zone, banning police from entering, and declaring independence as the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Chaz.
Okay. Let's be 100,000,000% clear here. The American police force is militarized as fuck, okay? I've seen it with my own eyes. All right. For example, when I was 16 years old, hurricane, which it actually became a tropical storm by the time it hit, but a couple other factors convened that caused the tropical storm to hit the west coast of Florida and have a, like, really severe impact. Basically, my entire neighborhood was flooded, and half, if not more, of everything we owned was waterlogged, and we had to move out. We were made essentially homeless when I was 16. And when the neighborhood was flooded and the sun rose after the storm went away, the police started sending vehicles down the street, and these were like repurposed military vehicles they were sending down through. I think they're like APCs, I think they're called, like the armored vehicle things. Like, if you've ever seen the police taking a protest or riot seriously, you'll see them roll out some serious fucking equipment, okay? They've got, like, sonic equipment that literally, they've got shit that just puts out a unbearable noise to disperse crowds. They put, like, that's literally just a thing they have. They've got, like, hoses that shoot bear mace, you know? Like, they can go to lethal means if they need to. So this idea that these militant Antifa people, like, kick the police out doesn't really mesh. What seems to be the case is they sequestered a block of the city, and the police were just kind of like, as long as there's not, like, obviously people dying or gunshots going off in there, we don't care. Like, simple as. If the police wanted to deal with it, they would have just gone in and dealt with it.
Later renamed CHOP, as protesters vowed to occupy the zone until Seattle's police budget was cut in half. But after a little over 3 weeks of chaos, Chaz had 4 shootings, rape, robbery, and 2 murders, including the death of a 16-year-old boy on June 29th, led to...
And the police rolled in and dismantled it. Because the fact is, they weren't fighting off the police. The police have unanimous power in this country. These are the same types of people, to be fair, that believe they could arm themselves and, like, lead a rebellion against, like, the government or whatever. If the police wanted to stop what was happening there, they could have at any time. And then they did when shit went to hell. And I do think Chaz was, like, loser shit. Like, awful. I don't think it was good. It's the kind of thing that just kind of sours many people's opinions on progressivism overall. Because then all of a sudden your politics are associated with a bunch of hippies that like took over 4 city blocks and blocked off public access to the roads.
Seattle's mayor to issue an executive order to dissolve Chaz and restore order to the neighborhood. But how did Seattle get to this boiling point? How did these events permanently impact the city? What does the future of Seattle look like when considering the problems it faces today? Before I meet up with one of the founders of Chaz to understand the initial goals of the protests, I met up with Seattle journalist Jonathan Cho.
You're a liar. Get this.
Anytime there's somebody who has green or purple hair, I get a little nervous.
To go boots on the ground.
Okay, I have an inkling of what the political motivations are of the people here. So this guy's not a homeless dude, the dude he was interviewing before in front of the tent. He does not seem to be interviewing any homeless people here. You know, there was a really good video that went viral on YouTube back before the age of right-wing like disinfo and propaganda blew up on YouTube, and it was just a guy who would go around and interview homeless people. Just give them a platform to talk about their struggles, their experience, their life, and I think he would even give them the ad revenue the video made, if he could like get into contact with them and keep contact. So it was like a really wholesome channel, and I remember that I think he blew up after Philip DeFranco shouted him out. This is like some ancient YouTube stuff by the terms of today, or the standards of today, but it's just such a blaring contrast to this type of content that's meant to demonize some of the most underprivileged people in this country for the sake of a political agenda.
And see the state of chaos in Seattle today.
You know, I've been threatened. I've been chased with a guy wielding a baseball bat.
Right there, here's a baseball bat. He came charging at me. This guy right here.
Knives. You got a knife! Even nunchucks.
I got a dude coming at me with nunchucks.
I will say, for the most part, the homeless out here are just trying to survive. Once we go in, it is
nice.
treacherous. You're going to be dodging trash, garbage, drug needles. Oh, that's a given at these encampments. And then the traffic, man. It is just absolutely insane that the homeless are living right next to cars going 70, 80 miles an hour. I just want you to be aware of what we're about to face. We are entering...
Well, okay, so for those of you guys who don't live in Seattle, or haven't been to Seattle, I'll actually, this image, or this shot is a really good demonstration of the way the city kind of is laid out. You've got like a very heavy, central area around like where the Space Needle and all the skyline skyscrapers are. It's a very dense population. Like, good fucking luck finding parking, good fucking luck getting through traffic if it's morning or afternoon rush hour, that kind of thing. But as you get further from like the center of the city and all that, you start to get into more, you know, just sort of urban sprawl neighborhoods and whatnot, and that's where you get to like these big highway roads that just spiral all around the city, because there's a lot of neighboring areas. You've got Renton, obviously, you've got Olympia, Washington down south, you've got Bellevue across Lake Washington in the middle, you've got Lake Mercer Island where all the super fucking rich people live. And then of course like way up north you've got like there's a bunch of cities up there that I'm blanking on the names of right now. I'm still learning my Washington state geography, okay? But you get to these highways, and then under those highways is some of the only completely untouched, generally not looked at or walked on, just grassy, covered area you can find is on the sides and beneath these overpasses. So there's a lot of areas like this where it's just like, you would never know to look down when you're driving on the interstate or the highway or whatever, and know that there's like a big tent city down there. But you'll see between the highways, anywhere where there's like a big fat median of grass and trees, there's a little, homeless encampment there. It's very, very common.
70, 80 miles an hour. I just want you to be aware of what we're about to face.
We are entering at our own risk, and clearly there are several people here right now.
So if you see the propane tanks right there, that's obviously dangerous, right?
Oh yeah, there are fires here at these encampments weekly. Sure. It's a total liability for this neighborhood.
Okay. That looks like it.
By the way, the implication is that the police should come in and, like, arrest these homeless people and, like, bust them out of the city. To where? Who cares? Just not here. That's basically the policy these types of people advocate for. They don't care about helping these people or putting them off the streets, like getting them off the streets into like secure housing and helping them get their lives back together and giving them some sort of social safety net. They just want to politicize the spooky homeless people. And listen, dude, I literally walk past shit like this to go to the dispensary and whatnot, okay? Like, I've got every reason to be able to jump on the fear-mongering train if it was really that bad, right? But it's really just not. It's not this, like, scary thing where you're... I mean, you should constantly look over your shoulder because that's just a general way you should live your life. I personally believe that high vigilance is a good thing when out in public. But it's not as dangerous as one would think. It's just like any other city. There are good neighborhoods, there are bad neighborhoods. Know where you are, and you'll generally be fine. Lock up your car, lock your house when you go to sleep, keep lights on when you leave the house so people don't think the house is empty, that sort of thing. No matter where you live, you should do that.
Do some damage.
You're ready to run if necessary.
Maybe we put that down, though?
Oh, yeah, I'll put that down. I just wanted to show you.
No,
that.
that's intent.
I mean, this is...
Also, homeless people having, like, weapons is not, like, it's not like, woo, scary. If you're homeless, you need something to protect yourself. Whether it be animals that might come for you, which is pretty unlikely if you're in the city, or another homeless person. That's what it's generally for. They're, like, most homeless people are not out there, like, making a tape-spiked bat so they can go out and, like, assail random people and rob people. They have it so they can have it next to them while they're sleeping in case someone tries to get into their tent. Yeah, you need to have some kind of weapon to defend yourself if you're homeless.
a club with nails. I mean, this is like Walking Dead
spooky.
style here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave this out here. Hey, what's up, brother? Hey, my name's Jonathan Cho, local journalist. I just want to introduce you to my friend Tyler.
Is that for you guys to protect each other? Is there conflict out here?
You know, there's always conflict, bro.
Do you use anything out here? Like fentanyl or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we talked to this
Yeah,
guy,
he
what appeared
does.
to be the mayor of the camp pulled up behind us and asked us what we were up to. If there's anything the city can do to help you guys get permanent housing? Okay. Would you like us to get out of here? Is that okay?
Tell him over there, man.
Okay. Fair enough, man. We took the hint and peeled out before things got violent. Everyone here had weapons, baseball bat with nails in it. Look, he's carrying.
Well, you're just weirdos filming them and coming into their, like, area. I like this implication that this is... that them not wanting to talk to them is, like, shady or bad or something. Like, you're two guys with microphones and a cameraman with, like, an expensive camera want to put them on, as far as they know, TV or the internet, and they don't want the police to come and dismantle their homeless camp. I feel like there would... I was hoping that at least this video would be at least somewhat compelling as far as, like, oh, okay, these clips are actually pretty bad. Here's, like, a homeless guy attacking someone. But no, it's just, like, pretty normal shit. They're inside of a fenced little area away from people. Like, they're not bothering anybody.
The club.
Okay.
I think it's time to move. He might be coming in our direction.
Yeah, get off their property.
At this moment, I was unsure if I was about to get killed, but it turns out he wanted to give me an early Christmas present. I can give it! He just wanted to talk. What's the biggest thing that can be done to help you, personally?
Let me get one of those little tiny homes.
Are there programs, Jonathan, that he can enter right now? If he said, hey, I will be sober,
Okay, this isn't bad.
please give me housing?
Detox.
Like,
places to
detox
go
just,
right now.
detox just sends me right back out.
I know the problem though is we don't have enough people to walk with Devin through the journey.
Okay.
That's one of the challenges. Is you can't just put somebody in detox and then just release them back onto the streets. Devin will agree. The vast majority of people out here are here because they're lacking the community. It's the broken relationship, or family, the broken relationships, and that's the
Are you fucking serious? How they're lacking family and community? Okay. Okay. Holy shit. That is the dumbest fucking argument ever. I know it sounds good on the surface, but you need to understand how fucking stupid that is. At least in the realm of drug addiction, having family and people who support you is good if those people force you to get professional help. The problem is, like, if we're talking about drug addiction, family members and friends and community can be enablers, right? That can absolutely be the case. That's not the thing that these people are missing. These people are missing a social safety net. These people don't have a place they can go to where for completely free they can have housing, the resources and facilities to get, like, proper clothing, get cleaned up, get like a job interview and research where they can work, transportation to get to work, the resources you need, such as a computer, just to do these things in the modern day, the ability to write on a resume that they've had recent work that, like, can get them anything beyond an entry-level job. Because if you're working minimum wage, going from homeless to working minimum wage, you're not going to be able to afford, like, a house or an apartment. And if you just went from homeless to working minimum wage, do you think it's going to be easy to get a roommate? Like, it is not impossible to overcome this barrier, but it feels impossible. And if you're in the position of someone who's actually homeless, it looks impossible. Community and friendship and family is not going to solve these people's problems. Would it help? In most cases, I'm sure. But this is a failing of the government. And this is a failing of Democrats, ironically enough. This is a Democrat city. This is not me arguing like Republicans are somehow at fault. I mean, I'm sure somehow Republicans have played a part, but this is also due to a lack of political will in Democrats. It's not really that common of a Democrat policy to, like, provide free housing to homeless people, you know? That's a little bit radical even for some of the most progressive people in the Democratic Party.
The narrative that is not being pushed. It's not an affordable housing issue. Devin, if you were just given an apartment...
It's not an affordable housing issue. Yeah, that's right, guys. There is no problem with affordable housing. People not being able to afford homes is not the issue. It's that these people are just... They stop trying. They don't have any family support. They get into drugs. Literally statistically disproven, by the way. We literally went over this earlier in the segment, that drug addiction follows homelessness, not the other way around, the vast majority of the time. It is absolutely a housing problem. Dude, I remember I got shit for saying this for some reason. I don't know why. Like, it's completely true, but I guess people just try to find any way to get an own on me. But, like, if you don't have, like, a high credit score, for example, or you have a bad credit score, which if you're homeless, there's a good chance you do, then getting a job or getting housing alone is impossible. Like, even if you have the cash to put down right there and then, it's impossible in most cases. And buying homes? Oh, yeah, don't even talk about that. I'm talking about renting. I'm talking about renting, dude. Yeah. I'm sure getting evicted doesn't help your credit score. Yeah. Without buyer's history alone, good luck renting anything, even a shack. Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely a housing issue. Banks won't hire you if you have a bad credit score. Yeah, they don't want you to be a teller or an accountant or do anything at a bank if you're not financially competent, to be fair.
Would that solve all your problems?
No.
What can anyone walking the streets or anyone who may see this do to help you get out of this situation?
Just understand that you guys are just one paycheck away from being out here too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is wild.
That was a great point. You guys are one paycheck away from being out here too. Although, to be fair, that's almost certainly not the case. Maybe this journalist guy isn't, like, crazy wealthy or anything, but this guy's a YouTuber who pulls millions of views per video. This guy could go multiple paychecks and still live a very comfortable life, never working. Yeah. There's a very big cushion that, like, massive YouTubers like this have if they've been smart with their money and haven't just wasted it all on jewelry, clothes, and cars.
I've never seen anything like this.
Welcome to Seattle. They're human beings, man.
Yep.
They're somebody's mother, father, daughter, son, uncle, aunt. If we look at each person that way instead of as a criminal or a drug addict, we have a better chance to get to know their story and help them get off the streets.
We got a gift. Let's keep going.
It like they virtue signal to meet a very cringe conclusion, right? Zan calling out Walsh? No, I'm calling out like clout tubers who buy Supreme.
I'm gonna put this in the trunk. After narrowly avoiding a Negan-style execution, we began to enter homeless camps right next to the high.
Walking Dead reference, what? Listen, I honestly don't have any respect for anybody who makes Walking Dead references in 2024 if they don't clearly indicate to me that they watch the show to the end, alright? I'm a real fucking Walking Dead fan, alright? You making those references like you think the show ended 5 years ago. Yeah, no, they weren't in danger. Well, okay. I don't think they were ever legitimately in danger of execution at that camp. But I will say they were definitely acting in such a way that if they didn't leave when asked, it could have gotten violent. Like, in the same kind of way that, like, you go onto a farmer's property, they catch you and they're like, hey, get off my property, and you refuse, kind of, you know, how that might go violent. I don't think that necessarily automatically makes them, like, scary.
Highway and realized we were being followed. They're obviously,
They're following us, bro. So it's
Okay.
time to move. Tyler,
okay, all right, we gotta go. All right, so it's for real, we gotta go. Keep in mind, they may be right behind us. There's a guy coming this way. There's another guy. Let's be aware of our surroundings. Seriously, watch out. Literally, we are at an overpass right now.
I think they're making sure they're
Going to these
leaving.
camps, you have to have an exit strategy. I know all the entrances and exits. That's one. We know where to go. And just know that there are moving cars right now next to us going 80 miles an hour.
I like, okay, dude. As someone who's literally been to Seattle, lives in Seattle, dude, I absolutely fucking love how even in the video you can tell they're having to divert off of any path or area that people would, like, normally walk to find these homeless camps. Like, the homeless camps are very strategically located. They're not, like, dumb people or anything like that. They're surviving out there. They know to build their camps, especially if there's more than one tent or one person staying there. They know to build it in an area that doesn't have high traffic, because if they build it in an area that has high traffic, people call the cops and the cops come and move them. This is basically Hood Safari. This is the kind of shit that just, if you live in Seattle, you don't do. Like, just don't fuck with homeless people and they don't fuck with you.
We stumbled upon a tent with a bucket full of what looked to be human feces. The stench was so bad, we
Where
began
else
to
would it
wonder if
go?
someone had died inside. You see flies here? You think someone's...
Like, I like how it's like, okay, we're humanizing these people, but also look how disgusting and horrible it is. It's like, okay, where else would they put it? What, like, advocate for free housing for these people so they have a toilet to shit in and not a bucket.
dead in there?
I don't know.
Might be worth a wellness check, I don't know. There could be someone dead in there.
We have found bodies in these tents before.
Is anyone in there?
Hey guys, welfare check. Welfare check, guys. You guys okay?
They're gonna think you're a cop, dude. That is the worst thing to say.
Seems like no one's there. Needle caps all across the ground here. And right off the freeway, look at this. I don't even know how they get their stuff here. How you doing, sir? Do you feel safe living right next to the freeway here?
Not really,
No?
because at any point in time there could be a traffic accident, car could slide up, and
Sure.
take out one of the houses.
The city ever come?
Hey, you know what? I appreciate them for putting... It's like such a bizarre... Maybe this isn't even meant to be like conservative propaganda. Maybe it's like through and through just like tasteless, soulless internet clickbait. Like trying to play both sides of the issue. Like trying to clickbait the whole like Seattle is a lawless city with no cops because like the Antifa Chaz people kicked them out. But also like, okay, but we don't want to look demonic. So, you know, we have to talk about how, you know, the homeless people are people too, and there needs to be sympathy for them. But we also can't advocate for any like super hyper progressive radical positions like free housing.
Come here and intervene?
No, what they pretty much do is they come, they clean up trash and stuff like that, and that's pretty much it.
Have you ever seen or known anyone who's gotten hit by a car?
Yeah,
Yeah? How common is that?
very,
Very?
very common.
You see two propane tanks right there. And look,
I mean, look at
right
this.
across the street.
We've got single-family homes. This is unacceptable in our society. And if you look right now,
It's unacceptable because there's single family homes right across the street. They shouldn't have to see this homeless camp. That's the problem.
you have multiple
It's so crazy recognizing so many of these places this video was filmed, though. I will say, I've done a lot of exploring of the city, and it's quite wild to just sort of recognize these places. Did stream go down? Oh, is that just you? Is that just you, Galixia? Okay, I don't see any issues with stream on my end, so we should be good. We should be all Gucci.
The luggage.
It's not the same name on all these.
It's not the same name at all. There's been an epidemic right now where you have luggage theft. Luggage theft. The cycle is the addicts go into a Target or a Walmart or Walgreens.
Someone tried to do this to me and my mom in Florida, and I caught them, okay? And I didn't find out what she was doing was a certain way of trying to steal from people, like a certain method, until after it happened, and I learned about that method later and was like, that's what she was doing. It wasn't an accident. So me and my mom, we took a trip to Florida not too long ago. You guys remember this if you watch me for like the last few months. And we're at the airport in Tampa to go back to Seattle. And we're outside the airport, and this lady approaches us while we're in the smoking area having a vape break. And she just starts talking to us. And this lady, I don't want to be mean, but I need to get across to you the gravity of the situation. This lady was not all there, at least in the way she was talking. She was talking about knowing a million celebrities, fucking a million celebrities, having met a million bands. She was on the older side, and she talked about what drugs she found fun and was just, like, very overly enthusiastic to talk with us, right? And that was definitely unsettling, you know? Definitely unsettling. Like, I was uncomfortable, but my mom just kept talking to her, which felt like, I was just like, I wish I could telepathically communicate with her and tell her, Mom, stop talking to this lady and let's go into the airport and get on our plane. But, you know, like, I just wish I could, like, telepathically whisper that to her, because I just want to end this entire encounter. But as things are wrapping up and this lady's starting to walk away, I notice that she's taken her bag and she's moved it on top of my mom's suitcase. It's like a black alligator leather suitcase. It's fairly nice, right? She's put her bag on top of the suitcase, just sort of casually, in a way where if we caught her, she could very easily play it off as a accident, you know? Oh, I wasn't paying attention, that kind of thing. But I was watching this lady because she just kind of sussed me out from the beginning, and I watched as she put her bag on top of what I was 99% sure was my mom's bag, you know? Because I'd carried it a lot through that trip, so I was very sure that was her bag. And I was like, hey, sorry. I think that's my mom's bag you're taking there on accident. And she was like, oh, my bad, and handed the bag over. And my mom was like, oh, good eye. And afterwards, when me and my mom were in private, I was like, you know, she was totally trying to steal that, right? And she was like, my mom was like, yeah, good spot, right? So yeah, luggage theft is a big deal. And I later found out that's a common method where you take something that belongs to you and you put it on top of an unattended thing that you want to steal, and you take the thing you want to steal with, like, it's common with phones at restaurants where someone will, like, talk to you and put the menu down on your table, like, put their menu down on your table on top of your phone or your credit card or whatever it may be, and then when they end the conversation, they, like, sneakily sleight of hand grab your wallet, phone, credit card, and underneath the menu and just take it away and hope you don't notice. And it's a pretty common way of, like, pickpocketing people. And I found out about that after this whole scenario. So, yeah, luggage theft, definitely a big deal. Though, to be fair, a lot of these people are probably getting old, broken, busted up luggage out of dumpsters. Recently, an old suitcase I had broke, and I just threw it out. And I'm sure by now a homeless person has made some use of it after digging through a dumpster, considering it's Seattle. And that's just how it goes, you know?
We have this person taking everything from the counter.
then they'll steal items, then they'll hit the streets, a very busy area,
Wow,
and sell
crime
this stuff for
happens?
pennies on the dollar. And the buyers are the little Asian grandmas because they want the deals. It's like people who are working who'll go into these neighborhoods and they're fueling the crisis as well.
Wow, check
Is
this out.
anybody in?
These homeless tents were built right next to premium Seattle real estate, and some of them even had a multi-million-dollar view.
That's not premium Seattle real estate. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is some expensive housing, I promise you, especially because I'm pretty sure if you panned the camera over to this way, you would see the Space Needle on the horizon, and not too far away either. But if you want to see prime Seattle real estate, you look at those houses that have been demolished and then completely redone as like those blocky futuristic homes that look like Tony Stark's house or whatever. Yeah, no, this isn't necessarily prime Seattle real estate, but, you know, I'm not, like, trying to nitpick here, but I live in the city now, and I like to make it clear what the city is like. Gotta correct that misinfo.
Premium Seattle real estate, and some of them even had a multi-million-dollar view.
Wow, that is
You can also argue that camping out here gives you the best views of the city.
Look at this. That is truly epic.
While drug addiction kept many of these people on the streets, we stumbled upon this giant fortress that led me to wonder if some of these people actually preferred living on these streets.
It's a pretty epic fortress you have here almost. How long did it take to build this?
It's not done yet.
Feel safe
They definitely don't prefer it. I don't think most people prefer it.
out here?
It almost feels like home, I guess.
Is fentanyl the biggest drug out
I
here?
guess.
Biggest drug out here?
Yeah.
Probably oxygen.
Oxygen. Okay. Fair enough. Hey there.
I like how every time they ask about fentanyl, they get a joke back, because, like, the homeless people are like, are you fucking serious?
How's it going? Is it too cold for you out here?
Not in this blanket.
Okay, fair. Do you need any help from anyone?
But this is exactly the scenario I described to you earlier, isn't it? Homeless person walking down the street with a blanket wrapped around them because it's too fucking cold. And this is, like, the best they got. I mean, hey, I personally, with a coat on, I would do this too in public if it was socially accepted. Just like, you know what? I feel like walking to the dispensary, just grab a big old comforter and wrap it around myself with a, like, coat on underneath that and just, like, hobble my way to the dispensary the same way I would hobble my way to the kitchen to get a snack.
And if so, how could someone help you?
I don't need any more help.
Okay.
I got all the things I need.
Notice what he said. He said he's choosing this.
Oh, the lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
Sure.
That is the
Okay. No. Stop with the narrative you're trying to spin here.
piece that certain homeless advocates don't want out there. And what do you do about these people in society?
I don't know.
These are the people who've given up on society. They're done. They don't want to work anymore. They don't want to pay taxes. They don't want to pay their bills.
The fact is, and this is something that a lot of people, like, oh my god. Hey guys, I literally know this exact street. This is Renton. Oh my god, do I know this exact street. This is Renton. This is a little bit outside of Seattle, but Renton has a very similar problem. But I know because this building and this very weird, like, thing that happens to the street here is very recognizable. I've driven through here multiple times. Well, I've ridden. I wasn't driving. I don't drive. I don't know. It's just crazy that the city is, like, so iconic, and you'd think it's huge, to be fair. It's a big city, but it's also small enough that, like, I've been to enough of it already in a year that I recognize places in a fucking video. What if we saw Zan randomly walking around in the background? Dude, if I saw some shit like this happening while I was walking to the dispensary, you better believe I would just, no matter how crusty I looked, I would just jump in and try to, like, photobomb it in some way. I'd scream, like, subscribe to Xanderhall.
You've got the activists saying, oh, if you just give everyone here housing, we can solve the crisis. Well, the problem is you've clearly...
Well, no. Housing is one part of the solution. We also need to provide them with rehab because many of them are addicted to drugs. We also need to provide them with the resources needed to get careers because the problem is if you've been homeless, getting a job is really, really hard even once you have housing covered. And even if you're sober, even then it's really hard. There needs to be very strong programs in place that are very accessible for these people on top of all these other solutions to also get back into the world. Now, here's the really, like, hard reality that a lot of people can't really get sold on, it feels like. And I hope that, like, the average person, if they think about it for long enough, would agree. Humanity has reached a point in technological advancement, and I would argue philosophical civilization, like civilizement, you know, being civilized, that we have superseded the need for survival of the fittest for humans, right? We live in a very wealthy and powerful country. I don't think it is necessary that every single person should have to work or die. Because that's effectively what the situation is now. Or at the very least, work or become homeless. It's this, like, idea that that is the way things should be, that people have accepted. Like, oh yeah, if you don't get up and torture yourself with, like, grinding away reclaimable years of your life and days of your life and months of your life at a job you don't give a fuck about to make a pittance so you can just keep the lights on and a roof over your head and make it another day, another day, another day, another day until you die. If you don't just accept that's reality, then you're living in la la land. You're a idealist. And it's like, is it really that idealist? I mean, seriously, I know it's a meme, but we've got some very wealthy people out there, okay? Hell, we put so much money into military spending alone. We could at least take a large chunk out of these problems. And this is on the fault of Democrats, too. I'm not even going to pretend like this is just a right-winger problem. There's not a lot of political will among Democrats, especially in the establishment, to solve these problems.
Encountered, there are people who want to stay out here. What do you do about them?
After establishing homelessness was, in some cases, a voluntary lifestyle, Jonathan took me to an even more extreme example of this beside a railroad.
Look at all this propane tank. Holy smokes.
Guys,
Whoa.
Guys, here it is.
Come over here.
We should assume everyone here has weapons. They do not want us here. And I've already established some relationships, but I don't know if my guys are still here.
So we're walking through a heap of trash, and I'm ready to run if necessary.
There are animals in here, too. This is the only other issue, guys. There are a lot of stray dogs here.
Protocol, if things get shaky, sprint for your life, all right? That swastika?
Yeah.
Wow. And as we approached the summit of this hill, we encountered this dude.
Dog, I know this homeless camp because I see it on the highway. I will admit, this is one of the homeless camps that genuinely impresses me. So if they were to pan the camera off to, like, well, I guess because I have my camera flipped, so it would be if they panned the camera off this way, like to the left of where it's facing now, there's a big drop, like a cliff, and there's a highway down below with like 6 lanes going one way and 6 lanes going the other way. And I've been on that highway many times because it's like a main vein to get out of Seattle and back into Seattle to many places. And so it, like, you see it from the road, and it's up like 15 feet up a cliff, and there's just a bunch of trailers, like the pull-along, like, trailers like you see here, and shacks built right up to the edge of the cliff, some even hanging off the fucking edge a little bit. And it's so precarious, but it's so built up. It's, like, almost impressive. I mean, it's just straight up impressive, genuinely. Like, I always stop, and it, like, draws my eye every time I pass it. But I literally recognize this homeless camp because it's so distinct when you see it from the road.
Tools in hand, appearing to weld something car-related. After Jonathan's quick use of level 99 charisma, we had unlocked safe passage to explore the area.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you. I mean, these guys...
Yeah, by the way, I really like the point Alan Natherson in YouTube chat just made. I like how they treat these camps as a sign of abject moral failure rather than a triumph to human ingenuity. These are people who, in modern society, they have been cast out. And yet they have still found a way to build what is effectively a functioning society in town outside of our society. Like literal buildings.
They're all self-sufficient. Everyone's running a generator here.
A generator.
It seemed like some of these homeless people just didn't want to be part of society. But after driving to
no, I promise you, if they had the... Okay. These people are... I'm sure there's a lot of homeless people in these camps you could talk to, especially after a while of living that way, that would say something along the lines of like, yeah, I absolutely... I've grown to love this life. I wouldn't go back to normal life if I could. A lot of these people had their lives set for them before they could even talk. Conservatives are really, really triggered by the idea of determinism. They believe that every single person is an island, their own decisions that are made only by them with no, like, outside influence are the fault of their own actions, all that. They want to put all blame on individuals, right? And when it comes to groups they don't like, they want to put all blame on the individuals that are in that group. And they get really triggered when you talk about determinism, the idea that if you look at a person who is born into a certain situation, you look at their socioeconomic situation, you look at their family, you look at their family's socioeconomic situation going back generations, you look at the area they're growing up in, you look at the zip code they've been born into and are going to grow up in. From that alone, it has been found that a scary high percentage of the time, experts can basically determine the outcome of that person's life under those circumstances with those factors in mind. A scary amount of the time, they can get it 100% right. Because the fact is that once you know a few key factors, a few key points about someone's upbringing, you can very quickly determine where they're going to end up. Their zip code that they live in when they're born and they're a baby is a very good determiner of where they're going to end up by the time they're 18. Yeah, to be fair, though, the people who are watching this content don't care about boring statistics and numbers. They want to see YouTube videos with very evocative footage and scary music that leads them to a basically nothing position. Like, basically the only solution to this problem, as he's putting forward, is to continue to watch their videos monetizing homelessness.
A homeless camp right outside a residential neighborhood. I met a pregnant woman who wanted help to get off of the streets but could not receive any.
My niece was illegally evicted.
I get it.
Illegally. Didn't I just tell you
No,
what...
you told me. I get it, yeah.
This is not because of fentanyl.
No, I understand that.
Or any of that. She has nothing to do with the drug use, though, so please understand that.
No, I understand that. Hi there.
Hi.
I've heard you're pregnant and you're in need of...
They're so bent out of shape about fentanyl. They really want to hear about fentanyl.
Housing?
Yes.
Have you looked for housing since?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
What was the response given?
Well,
Nothing.
Nothing?
She's in a tent.
you can't tell.
What would you recommend she do? She's pregnant. She's on the streets right now. She wants housing.
Have you considered going to other outreach groups or other nonprofits like Salvation Army?
He's got nothing. Where's the nearest Salvation Army? Here. Let me just magically use my Dead Space path objective marker to just give me a holographic line that tells me where to go to get to the nearest shelter or outreach program. Yeah, it's not dude. It's not how it works.
Yes,
Union
I have.
Gospel Mission?
Yes.
What are they saying? I know Union Gospel.
Also, not to mention, a lot of homeless shelters are just not a good place to be, especially as a woman. I don't usually try to play into the whole women need special, but homeless shelters can be, at the very least, a scary place to be as a woman. That's the experience that I have heard from a lot of people who have seen what it's like.
Gospel Mission would potentially take you in.
Nobody wants to get no nasty mission.
So it's dirty, it's unsanitary.
But that's not the case. See,
Okay, got it.
and I understand that may be their experience, but they can get you off the streets right now, and at least for the sake of your baby.
I understand that, but there's multiple. There's not. You don't get your own room. You know what I'm saying? You're around everybody.
I see,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? There's germs. There's. And I'm pregnant. I can get sick easily. You know what
So
I'm saying?
you'd rather take your chances out here than be in a place where you have to share a...
I'm sorry.
You have your own space. Yeah, the fact is, they're trying to frame it oh, look at these homeless people. There's something they're not saying. There's something they're hiding. But it's the fact is that a lot of the shelters fucking suck. I know it's an easy out to just say go to a homeless shelter, but they just kind of suck. And the fact that people would choose this over being in a homeless shelter kind of speaks volumes about the quality of these homeless shelters and how bad of a Band-Aid solution they are.
But this right here is a lot cleaner than a Salvation Army or a shelter.
There
I'm
you
saying
go.
you want housing, not tiny homes or shelters, because they dictate your lives. They tell you who you can and can't have over.
Are there any other qualifications you guys can't use drugs as an example?
It's not about the drugs. It's about people dictating your lives. Okay. So it's an American thing where I should be able to call my friend up and say, hey, come over. Not come over. Do you have ID? Show it at the front counter.
Got it.
Okay. That's retarded.
So I have a quick question, though. Do you understand?
Yeah, from what I can tell, they treat it almost like being checked into a hospital or something. It's really... It's not the kind of life that a lot of these people want to live in a facility. Think about it. If that was what your life was going to be, when you really think about it, the freedom of just being able to live on the streets almost sounds more appealing. Like, there's a certain level of happiness there, you know? Prison almost sounds more appealing, to be honest with you.
Understand how some
20
people,
years.
some people hearing you almost say that's a sense of entitlement, that there are people who are working 2-3 jobs. I'm just asking for the sake of asking.
People working 2-3 jobs that don't realize one bad day, then they're this close.
What would you wish for if you could talk to the mayor right now or the governor?
So give me a place to live that is safe.
There's urine, there's human feces, there's drug dealing going on. Is
Sure.
that safer than this shelter that's allegedly unsanitary? Look,
Why do you think they're choosing to be out here?
because they don't want to follow the rules.
Okay.
Do you deserve an apartment?
They want to be out here because they don't want to follow the rules. These bad homeless people. I will say, we're almost an hour of coverage and me commentating this in, and only 11 minutes into the video. 12 minutes, to be fair. I'm going to see how far we can get into this, but I think I'm going to cut it at an hour, because good God. I don't really feel like there's much more I can say from the same shit of just going into a homeless camp and fear-mongering about it.
Apartment in Seattle when there's so many others who are working 2-3 jobs?
And then, out of nowhere, a person frantically stalking us from behind, covering their face with cardboard, began yelling at us, asking who we were. Hi there.
Here goes.
Hi. Oh, what's... My name is Tyler Oliver. What's your name?
What is your
He
business?
doesn't want to be
YouTube
posted
channel.
on the
You came
internet.
up here running.
Actually,
Yeah.
in front
Of?
a criminal network, a criminal tent.
Talk to me.
I kept, for my safety,
Okay.
in front of the camel tent that's a drug ring.
We saw that. We can blur your face. Would you like to talk to me?
I will, but I won't be in front of the camel.
Okay. You came here, you're visibly upset and concerned about your own safety?
Less so about safety than I'm sick to death of picking up human poop.
Sure.
I'm sick to death of picking up garbage every single day, including meth.
This is somebody who lives on the street,
It's
maybe?
dangerous for dogs.
This is faked? I
It's
don't know.
dangerous for people. There's unmitigated shoplifting. The laws have to be changed because they're actually, the police hands are tied.
So, for clarity, you live in the surrounding area.
I love this narrative that the police's hands are tied. The fact is that, like, retail workers are trained not to try to stop shoplifters because it's going to be all caught on video, and then it'll just be covered by insurance. These are massive companies. Mom and pop businesses getting raided is generally pretty bad, but, like, even then, insurance, these businesses tend to have insurance. There's a reason why the training and even most business owners don't resort to violence or taking out a gun and shooting shoplifters. Hell, I go to a range in Seattle. I won't name it, but it was robbed. It was like broken into and robbed in the night not too long ago. And I was speaking to one of the dudes at the front desk after buying some magazines for my Glock. And I was talking to him about it because they had some plywood up on the window to cover up, like, to keep it from air getting in and stuff. And they were like, dude, it was hilarious because they clearly broke in. They were clearly dumb kids. They broke in wanting to get guns, but we lock all the guns up in a safe at night. They couldn't find it or crack it. So they basically just ended up stealing magazines. And for those who don't know, magazines are I mean, they can be somewhat expensive, but this is the funny part. They left untouched the glass cases with all the optics, the pistol and rifle optics, just sitting out on display, completely available for them to take. That's how you know they were dumb kids, is they left the real fucking expensive, valuable shit just laying out. Didn't even break the display case to try to get to it. And of course, they got caught in the end. Xanderhall, I used to work at Walmart, and basically our shoplifting policy was let them walk away and tell our manager, lol. Yeah, because there's already systems in place to deal with this. Like, this is some random person, I guess, who lives in the street who's complaining about shoplifting? How is people shoplifting from businesses around you harming you? It's such a bizarre, like, virtue signal. Like, oh, it's harming our community. It's like, okay, the homeless people aren't the problem. The powerful, wealthy people in charge who decide the lives and state of how Americans live are the ones whose problem it is. That is the people who caused this. and refuse to fix it.
You are a concerned, upset resident of this neighborhood that's been overtaken by drug dealers, criminals, and homeless people. Is that accurate?
We're spending vast amounts on Narcan. The firemen are coming out all the time. Overdoses. I'm sorry, if you're not a teenager, you don't get Narcan. You don't get a second shot. I am not some crazy conservative, but things cannot end unless there are laws. This is not safe for me.
Yeah.
Well, do you want, like, I don't know about any of you. Okay, Hypers in chat if you live in Seattle. I have never taken a walk through Seattle where I haven't seen cop cars go by on patrol. There's no lack of cops. I've never seen more cops on average in my life than since I moved to Seattle, and I've lived in Palm Springs. I've been to LA. I've been to Tampa. I grew up in Florida. Yeah, they're interviewing the car. The car's ass, actually. Someone in the trunk is who they're interviewing. The guy's actually locked up in the trunk. In all seriousness, though, there's a lot of fucking cops in Seattle, and they're generally always patrolling around. I see them all the goddamn time. Every time I go out, I hear them all the time. It's not really an issue of there not being laws. Stealing is illegal. Drug dealing is illegal. Drug possession is illegal. These things are all illegal. There are a ton of police. The fact is that cracking down on crime doesn't fix it. Sending people to jail, you can't send people to jail or prison fast enough for people to come out or fall into this life and add to that population. And on top of that, there's a massively high recidivism rate in America, so the people you are arresting are coming out even bigger criminals than they came in. So you're basically just sending people off to a factory where they disappear off the streets for a little while, but they come out worse off than they went in. So you're just worsening the problem by trying to tighten the grip.
Oh, okay, got it. We're gonna get going. All right. I get it. I'm curious though, why did you go charging at us?
Yeah, because if I was gonna have some idiotic progressive thing like, oh, these poor homeless, poor people, you know, they're the poor entitled.
I thought she was a far left activist.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, that pretty much sums up the argument of this video. Like, they're just trying to demonize homeless people. And, like, I live in this city. I don't have a car, and I haven't bothered getting a license, so I walk everywhere unless I carpool. So I'm as vulnerable to this shit as anyone could possibly be, and I've never genuinely felt in danger. There was that one time where I saw the crazy homeless guy across the street, and I just didn't cross the street. And that's about it. And I've lived in... my old place was not in the best of neighborhoods. It was actually in a fairly nice neighborhood, but it was right up on the edge of a pretty bad neighborhood. And I had to walk through said bad neighborhood regularly, and there were a lot of homeless people. There were a lot of homeless camps. I recognized some of them from this video. And I was never in danger. I never really felt like I was in danger. This is just fear-mongering, and it's demonization of some of the most underprivileged people in our society. Absolutely disgusting stuff. What'd you guys think of that segment? I feel like it was a damn good segment. I feel like I was on fire with that one. What do you guys think? It was a real long one, though, I will say. Whole hour plus long segment. I guess I needed to do a super long segment today. Hell yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah, Seattle's the only the 7th worst place in Washington for crime, apparently. That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me. Seattle's actually not that, like... It's not that dangerous. I really don't know how else to put it. Pepper T21, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Says, got Ethan to join my Pathfinder campaign, so feeling pretty good about my social skills. Hell yeah, Ethan's dope as fuck. He loves D&D and Pathfinder and, like, 5e, or not 5e. He loves that, like, tabletop shit, so he's dope as fuck. Wait, Pepper T21, did you donate twice, or is that a glitch? Because it's showing as 2 donations, but it's the same amount and it's the same message each time. Excellent segment, Sam. That was well presented and representative of how I feel most of us in Seattle feel about it. Hell yeah. Fellow Seattleite. Man, as a D&D fan, I want to try Pathfinder, but my group doesn't want to learn a new system. From everything that I've heard, it's better. Like, so much better. Like, so much better that you might as well abandon D&D 5e or whatever you play, even if it's homebrew, and just do Pathfinder, because it's, like, better in every way, from what I've heard. And I'm not even a big tabletop guy, so I don't even understand how. I couldn't explain it to you. People smarter and more into that shit than me have said this, and I trust their opinion quite strongly. Plot twist, trolling by intentionally donating the same on both options, yeah. Well, let me see if Pepper T21 answered that. Huh, I can't see. Let me check if it came in on my other feed. I guess not. Versus, thank you for the $5 donation. I'm gonna round that up. Donated through Super Chat, said, God, the editing in his video is so frustrating. I agree. It is very annoying how he, like, clips in the dramatic music to make it all scary and everything. It's very cringe. Ooh. But yeah, I'll assume that's just one dono, because I don't want to overstate how many I'm making. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me update the dono goal. Anyway, if you're watching right now and you want to support the stream, you can do so for completely free just by dropping a like on the stream on YouTube. Those thumbs up really go a long way, even just one, so please consider going over there and dropping a like if you haven't already. And of course, you can subscribe, ring the bell icon, and even support me financially by donating, subscribing, gifting a sub on my website, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. You can also buy merch, which all those things are linked down below in the description. But hey, just watching the stream is all the support that you really need to offer if that's all you can do. I really do appreciate it. I said my dono didn't process the first time, so I resent, but it looks like the problem was my browser. Oh, okay, so it sent both. Do you want a refund? So I guess I'll count that one. Let me know if you want that $5 back, because I guess I could refund. Should just be able to look in PayPal and just bounce it back. Zan, please do research on the Baltimore Gun Task Force. Okay. Sure. No, you good? Keep it? Okay, thank you, Pepper221. I appreciate that. Yummy water. Delicious, yummy-ass water. I love it. It soothes my gullet. Okay, let me bring the next segment up. All right. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. I don't know if I have many international fans. I know that some of my highest viewership is in Australia, Canada, and Germany. Outside of America, that's like where my highest viewership is. But I'm sure I've got some Japanese fans in there, and if you are a resident of Japan at the moment, then you are probably quite riddled with anxiety, because some pretty crazy shit has been going on there the last day. I mean, like, the amount of crazy-ass disasters that have hit the headlines about Japan in the last 24 hours has been pretty crazy. Like, if just one of these things happened, it would be big news worth covering. But now there's two big things, and I feel the need to merge them into one mega segment, you know? So, a day ago, well, I guess it's been 2 days now. I'm sorry. My mental clock is off. 2 days ago now, a massive fucking earthquake hit Japan. I mean, I retweeted a video of it. It's actually really spooky. I'm sure I can bring up a compilation of some of the footage. Japan earthquake footage. There's a point about this I want to make with the footage. But I feel is quite relevant. Remember, guys, let's harken back to, like, middle school or even elementary school science classes. You learn about how the Earth is a dense, dense core surrounded by a liquid, plasticky mantle, and then on the outside of that, you have a floating layer of crust, and that's what we're on top of. And between those, you've got these tectonic plates, and they move around, and those tectonic plates vibrating causes and shifting and getting stuck on each other, and then like giving way causes these massive earthquakes. And the thing is, though, if you look at like a cross section of the Earth, something you'll notice is the crust is really thin and the mantle is really fucking thick. We are just a thin little layer of solid rock floating on an ocean, a massive, unimaginably huge ocean of liquid rock. And so when the crust starts to get irritated like this with earthquakes, it starts acting like liquid. And so the videos where the Earth starts just moving in waves like the ocean, those are the videos that freak me out the most, because we take for granted the solid Earth beneath us, but just imagine if it literally started acting like a non-Newtonian fluid out from underneath you. It's absolutely terrifying. Here's some footage. I think a lot of this will just be of like buildings shaking, but I've seen some footage where it looks like the Earth is waving, like the ocean. Fucking hell, that's scary. All you can do is just beg for it to stop. For those who don't know, Japan is basically right on top of a huge tectonic fault line, and so there does tend to be quite common seismic activity in Japan, and it's usually right off the coast. So because of that, you get these big tsunamis that tend to hit as aftershocks. And they can cause a lot of damage too. Yeah, and then of course there's like actual aftershocks, and that's the additional shaking comes after. I've seen videos where, like, the street is splitting open because the Earth has turned into liquid in terms of how it behaves. It's very scary stuff. Here's the thing, though. Time has passed, and we've got some updates on what's going on. Battle against time to find earthquake survivors as Japan lifts tsunami warnings and death toll rises. Fair amount of people died and were injured and have gone missing.
For more than 30
We've got a CNN clip here.
seconds, you can see the quaking in the office in an office in the prefecture next door to Ishikawa.
Holy fuck. Not gonna lie, if this was my bedroom and this started happening, my Zoomer ass would, like, hug my entire computer setup and try to keep it from falling down and try to, like, stabilize it as much as possible. That's what I'd be doing. Jesus. Those windows are holding up well, by the way. No one's given the windows credit here. One thing to know, by the way, a lot of these videos that you're seeing are videos in buildings that did not collapse or fall apart utterly, because they're built with modern standards in a nation that has very common seismic activity, which means they're built on very bouncy, springy, swayy foundations and are built to withstand this kind of thing. They're meant to kind of take it, you know, and just ride the earthquake. There are a lot of older buildings, though, that are built out of wood. and those buildings just kind of snap. They just kind of snap when an earthquake this bad happens, and that's not even getting into the tsunamis. Scenes of devastation emerged along Japan's western coast Tuesday as rescuers raced to save residents trapped in the rubble of a 7.5 magnitude quake that triggered multiple aftershocks and killed dozens of people. The quake shook the Noto Peninsula in the central prefecture of Ishikawa on Monday afternoon, collapsing buildings, sparking fires, and triggering tsunami alerts as far away as eastern Russia. At least 57 people have been killed by the earthquake, according to Japanese public broadcaster NHK, citing officials from the Ishikawa prefecture. And 5 people were killed at Tokyo Haneda Airport on Tuesday when a Japan Airlines jet collided with a Coast Guard plane on its way to provide earthquake relief. Japan's meteorological agency lifted all tsunami advisories along portions of the country's western coast Tuesday, but more than 24 hours after the quake struck, there has been limited access to the northern part of the secluded Noto Peninsula. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida told reporters that a disaster emergency meeting Tuesday that a destroyed road had cut access to the area. So basically, that entire northern area of that peninsula, I'm sure I can get a map here. Hold on. Map of Japan. All right, let me find the region. Is it listed here? It might actually not be listed on this map. Oh. Is it not listed here? All right, I'll just look up map of Japan, Noto Peninsula. I want to get a visual up. Here it is. It's circled here. And then here I've got a blown up image of it. Nice. Yeah, you can tell that's still quite populated. So, doesn't really look like a big part of Japan, right? Looks like a little nubbin. Just a little nubbin. But if you look at a zoomed in, like, aerial photograph, holy fuck. That's that, like, concrete jungle, just, like, branching of cities that goes through the countryside and mountains that Japan is known for all through here. And apparently key roads that cut off the northern part of the peninsula, which could be anything from here to here or just up to here, is cut off due to damage from the earthquake. There's got to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that live on this peninsula. Just judging off of satellite photography, that's what I would estimate. Officials and helicopters had flown over the peninsula, known for its coastal scenery and rural landscapes, and reported seeing damaged roads, landslides. Oh yeah, so a lot of this area of Japan is like very sort of hilly and mountainous, but muddy too. So there'd be landslides if there's like enough earthquakes. That's actually something I didn't even consider. Officials, to secure the route there, we are to mobilize all the means of transport, not only on the ground, but also by aerial and marine transport. We've been making an effort to transfer goods, supplies, and personnel there since last night, Kishida said. The central city of Wajima, home of more than 27,000 people, appeared to be among the worst hit. Wajima city officials told CNN that 15 people were confirmed dead there. The coastal city is famous for its morning market and fine traditional lacquerware. But early surveys from the air on Tuesday revealed smoldering fires and large plumes of smoke engulfing streets of destroyed buildings. Here's a really sad image. So we're already starting off 2024 right. Disaster. Like I said, these are the older buildings that are not made to withstand earthquakes like this, that don't just sway with it and they just snap like a twig from all the movement. You can see how a lot of them literally snapped, like horizontally, and fell over. Yeah. Hey, It gets even worse, by the way, because when you have such a massive disaster occur, you've got so much scrambling, such a massive scramble to try and get things like back in order, get people's lives together, get people saved, get people found, get people buried, unfortunately, that it can lead to even further disasters if people aren't careful. And unfortunately, that is exactly what's happened in Japan, with even more disaster news coming out of Japan today, this morning. There's been a big plane crash. Plane burst into flames on airport runway in Tokyo. I guess it didn't crash, but it burst into flames. Japan is not having a good 2024 so far. Yeah, so this is Tokyo's Haneda Airport. This is one of the locations that was hit by the earthquake already. So this is literally part of the country that was already hit by the earthquake where this happened. Oh, it hit another plane after landing. That's what I thought would have happened, because there's got to be so many planes flying out, planes, helicopters, all that stuff getting sent out to, like, survey, rescues, all that kind of stuff. And then you've also got normal airlines that are supposed to make their scheduled flights. There's just so much air traffic that it wasn't, to be fair, flying is so safe that the flight, the collision didn't even happen in the air. It happened on the runway when the planes are acting as the equivalent of cars. More evidence that flying is safer than driving. Every passenger survived, but apparently pilots died, from what I saw in the headline. God damn. It is scary how flammable planes are. Like, they're having a hard time putting that thing out. It's turned into a furnace. Let's believe that about 400 passengers were on board. God, that looks scary. Just imagine being in there when it's like that. You'd be dead in seconds. From many things. A large passenger plane and a Japanese Coast Guard aircraft, one of the rescue planes, one of the planes doing surveys or rescuing, just like I said. A large passenger plane and a Japanese Coast Guard aircraft collided on the runway of Tokyo's Haneda Airport on Tuesday and burst into flames, killing 5 people aboard the Coast Guard plane, officials said. So the Coast Guard plane had 5 casualties, but the passenger plane with 400 people on board did not have any casualties. The pilot of the Coast Guard's Bombardier Dash 8 plane escaped, but the 5 crew members died, Saito said. The aircraft was preparing to take off to deliver aid to an area affected by a major earthquake on Monday, officials said. Television footage showed an orange fireball erupting from the Japan Airlines plane as it collided while landing, and the airliner then spewed smoke from its sides as it continued down the runway. Within 20 minutes, all passengers and crew members slid down emergency chutes to get away. As firefighters tried to put out the blaze with streams of water, the area around the passenger plane's wing caught fire. The flames spread throughout the plane, which eventually collapsed. The fire was extinguished after about 6 hours. Tuesday's accident was the first severe damage to an Airbus A350, among the industry's newest large passenger planes. It entered commercial service in 2015. Airbus said in a statement it was sending specialists to help Japanese and French officials investigating the accident, and that the plane was delivered to Japan Airlines in late 2021. The A350 had flown from Shinchitose Airport near the city of Sapporo, the transport minister said. If you're watching and you're in Japan, I really hope you're okay. I wonder, is there... Oh, yep. It seems like there is. I don't know if I want to recommend a charity that isn't well vetted. 4-star on Charity Navigator. I really don't want to put my credibility behind recommending a charity, guys, that I don't have like time to vet. I know that sounds silly maybe to some of you, but I promise you it's a valid concern because it leads to massive, massive fallout if you end up sending people to donate to a shady charity or one that you didn't properly vet. And it would be my fault because I didn't properly vet it. I do really hope that some of you guys go out of your way to maybe provide some relief funds to those that are displaced by this. I literally have been the victim of a natural disaster displacing me when I was 16. There was a big tropical storm that hit, and I was forced to move out of the house that me and my family had rented. It was a rental, to be fair. But, you know, we lost more than half of our possessions. We had to live with a friend for like 3 months, and it was rough, you know, and that was possibly the best case scenario for being in a situation like that, right? Many of these people are going through far worse, so hopefully you guys go out of your way to send some support their way. There are no doubt already a lot of charities raising funds for this as we speak, so I will put trust in you guys that you can properly vet them. What do you guys think of that segment? I feel like it came out pretty damn good. And hey, Pepper221, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Says, well, Hunter Avalon said they were interested in the game. If anyone else in chat wants to join, you can at me. Oh, Hunter Avalon wants to join the Pathfinder campaign? That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not much of a tabletop guy, but considering Ethan is now getting into content and everything, and I plan to have him on stream a lot more often once he gets back from his trip he's currently on, I have no doubt that he'll probably convince me to do a big D&D campaign or a Pathfinder campaign. And, you know, guys, you can find this on Vosh's channel, okay, if you want to find this. Me, Vosh, White Nervosa, Doe, and Vermin and Conyer all did a D&D campaign. I believe we did like 4 or 5. Oh, I see you, motherfucker. Don't think transphobia against Keffels is allowed in my chat, motherfucker. Anyway, as I was saying, we did like 5 episodes of a D&D campaign called The Theater of Consumption. Vosh was the DM. Really fun stuff. It's still up on his YouTube channel now. We never finished it, sadly, because we all got really fucking busy. Like, our channels were all quite small back then, and then we all hit a point where we all got really fucking busy with like, everything, and we just couldn't keep up with it. But who knows? Maybe we could get that going again, but with Ethan as the DM at some point, because it'd be cool to see, it'd be cool to see Vosh have to roleplay and, like, do a character. Not just like random people we meet as the DM. Did Zan just personally ban that guy? Yeah, of course. They were being transphobic towards Keffels. Like, we're not... I've made it very clear that, frankly, any toxicity towards Keffels that I see you guys engaging in is going to get you banned. Like, I don't hate Keffels. We just had, like, a personal disagreement. And I do think she misrepresented me a little bit, which I liked to be able to you know, correct, which I did, but we've buried the hatchet now. She sent a raid, like a good raid, not a hate raid, but a positive raid, as a show of good faith, and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, alright, I accept, and we're all good now. Like, we're not friends, necessarily, but we're not, like, at each other's throats, and we don't hate each other. At least as far as I know, we don't hate each other. PepperT21, thank you for the $5, though. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. And, of course, if you're watching right now, and you want to drop some support on the stream, you can do so for completely free just by dropping a like or a thumbs up over on my channel. A thumbs up really does go a long way. Simply forces YouTube to push my content out to more people, so I really appreciate it. And of course, if you've got the money for it and you want to support me financially, I did just move, and you know, money's a bit tight right now, especially because I had to take time off from being sick. You can always donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, or through YouTube, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. Any financial support, or any support at all that you can send is always appreciated. It really does go a long way. Thank you, guys. All right. Getting the next segment ready. Does YouTube Super Chat count? No, it does not. I don't count YouTube Super Chats because I don't get them until next month. So they're not really like, people can like charge back them as well before they ever arrive. So it's like, it's basically counting your eggs before they hatch, you know? So I generally don't count the super chats. Like, I thank them and I read the donos and everything, but I don't, like, physically add them to the counter because they don't really... They're not there, right? They're not there for, like, over a month. YouTube's weird with their payout system with donos. It's counted as part of your ad revenue. It's super strange. I don't like the way they do it. YouTube's system for streaming is just really, really annoying. I meant Avalon of Babylon, not Hunter Avalon. Oh, I thought you meant... I'm sorry. Avalon of Babylon, not Hunter Avalon. Okay, my bad. My bad. Harmless mistake. By the way, good news about construction I found on Twitter just now. About construction. Yep. Republicans in the replies saying media lies at play to, like, data showing that American manufacturing is, like, spiking massively. No, we can't accept the economy is getting better. That's one of the only actual talking points people listen to. It's okay. No one actually cares whether or not the economy is getting better. They'll believe whoever is saying... They'll believe the Republicans saying it's bad when a Democrat's in power, and they'll believe the Republicans saying it's good when a Republican is in power. Phantom Outlaw, thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate it. Says, if you refund your super chat, you gain virginity points. True. Yeah, you end up, like, getting some of your virginity back if you ever refund a donation to me. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat, though, Phantom Outlaw. I really appreciate it. I also just noticed your profile picture is Shay Patrick Cormac from Assassin's Creed Rogue. Based. One of the best Assassin's Creed games. Well, certainly one of the best Assassin's Creed protagonists. Oh my god, Rare Shay fan? Listen, I'm based. You should have known I was an AC Rogue fan from the get-go, just by seeing how based I was. Yeah, AC Rogue is great. I really just want an Assassin's Creed game that's literally the entire American coast as an open-world map. Like, you've got the Appalachia River Valley or whatever it was called, the Hudson River Valley or whatever that you go through as, like, the part of the map. And then you've got, like, the Arctic, and then you've got, like, the coast and the open ocean. And then if you go far south enough, you get to, like, the Caribbean map. That massive map for an open-world, sea-based Assassin's Creed game... It's the dream. Apparently they're remaking Assassin's Creed 4. I hope they add a ton of cut content to the game. I want there to, like, I want every island that was once just eye candy and you couldn't explore to actually be explorable in the remake. But frankly, if it's just the same game from the ground up remade, but with modern graphics and physics and modern water, I'll be happy. Apparently correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I dreamed this. Maybe this is just something I want and I made this up, but I heard they're supposed to have free-flow swimming in the remake for Assassin's Creed 4. Like, you know how in Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey, etc., you can just, like, dive beneath the water and swim around? Apparently they're planning for that in the remake, where you can just, like, dive beneath the water and free explore, which means they've got to add content to the underwater, like make it all coral and full of fish and pretty, and maybe even underwater chests you've got to get. Besides, like, the diving bell portions, which I'm sure they'll still keep. God, I'm so excited for the Assassin's Creed 4 remake. I'm gonna play it on stream for sure. Oh, yeah. Listen, I honestly think we've gotten to a point where people are kind of forgetting that 2012 or 2013, when that game released, was a long fucking time ago. It's 2024 now. It's been over a decade since that game came out. It is a classic game now. Gamers are, like, very, like, out of touch with how old they are, because time feels like it passes so fast, and they feel like these games are younger than they are. But, like, Assassin's Creed and The Last of Us, like, them getting remade isn't that unreasonable when you consider how, like, high-grossing they are and how actually long it's been since they originally released. Especially when new console generations have come out. Multiple new console generations have come out since they were made. Like, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, the original, was a game made to run on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. If it was made just for Xbox One S or whatever it's called, I don't know the Xbox generation that's current, the PlayStation 5 and PC, and it was a remake from the ground up and not just a remaster, it's going to look different. It's going to feel different, but in a good way, I would hope, you know? Anyway, it's time for the next segment. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So if you harken back to like a year ago, there was this big political stunt that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, pulled that got a scary amount of support from like centrist dude bros and Republicans and some of the worst people you can imagine. And it was when he, under false pretenses, lied to a bunch of immigrants and bussed them to a, like, island gated community called Martha's Vineyard that had a bunch of Democrat voters and Democrat politicians there to try to make it seem like if they weren't immediately offered housing by these Democrat politicians, then said Democrat politicians who don't want to instill insane over-the-top anti-immigration policies are somehow hypocritical, right? Now, the funny thing, and this, of course, didn't get much media coverage from the right, so many people never saw this part of it, is that the Martha's Vineyard people immediately proceeded to set up these tents where they offered water, food, shelter, and just things you would need to survive to the people, the immigrants who had been bussed there and lied to. So they actually did do what Republicans thought they wouldn't do and would make them look like hypocrites, but it never got enough attention. People didn't even know that part. I remember watching a podcast that I like, and trust me, I don't like it for the political views. I have to basically tune out whenever they get into politics. And one of the dudes on there was just absolutely ecstatic about it and how based of a political move it was, and it was really disgusting. But it really goes to show how effective political stunts like that are. Yeah, PKA. It goes to show how people like that are so vulnerable to political stunts like that. They just throw all value for other human beings out the window, and they see like an epic own that uses human lives as fuel, and they're like, oh yeah, got him, epic, yeah. It's truly despicable. But I've got a positive spin to that story to give you guys. I know, it's surprising. Turns out these policies have actually blown up in a lot of Republicans' faces in a pretty hilarious way. This is from NPR. Busing migrants was a partisan lightning rod. Here's why Democrats have embraced it. When Texas and Arizona's Republican governors began busing immigrants out of their states last year, they said it was in protest to the Democrats' quote, reckless federal immigration policies. Democrats criticized the tactic as dehumanizing, especially when migrants were misled about where they were going. But some cities and states led by Democrats later warmed to the practice, most recently Arizona's new governor, Katie Hobbs. Quote, if we're spending money to bus people, why not just get them to their final destination, Hobbs told reporters at a recent press conference. Here's how the politics of transporting migrants has evolved. Immigrants have always moved around. People have always traveled within the U.S. once they claim asylum at the border. In the border town of Del Rio, Texas, for instance, the nonprofit Valverde Humanitarian Border Coalition receives immigrants directly from the U.S. Border Patrol Station. From there, they only have a few options for getting to their final destinations. Quote, you have to understand the locale here. The nearest major city is in San Antonio. That's a 3-hour drive, says a VVHBC operations director, Tiffany Burrow. A couple of Greyhound buses depart Del Rio each day. The local airport recently lost service after American Airlines pulled out. The nonprofit also works directly with a private transportation company. VVHBC would typically help recent arrivals figure out where they needed to go, and then a family member would purchase them a ticket. But in 2022, the nonprofits and aid groups at the border had trouble meeting basic needs for the record number of people trying to come to the U.S. per federal data. Buses operated by the state are, quote, incredibly useful, says Burrow. Most do not stay in the cities they're bused to, except for New York. Some bus passengers also appreciate the free ride. Quote, I didn't know that the ticket to get here cost $500, says Selena, a migrant traveling from Chile who bought a state-run bus from Texas to Philadelphia, or caught a state-run bus from Texas to Philadelphia. NPR is not using her name because her immigration case is pending. Selena, who wants to meet up with her brother-in-law in New Jersey, tells NPR in Spanish that when she got into the United States, a guard told her about the free buses and showed her where to get in line for one. Otherwise, quote, I couldn't pay, she says. That's right. These buses that Republicans are using to try to, bus migrants away from the border and out of cities that they, just away, are actually being used as free transportation, because none of the migrants who are there in these cities that are being, bussed around for political stunts want to stay where they are anyway. And so the Democrats are just using this to route the buses to locations these people actually want to go. The reality has helped shift the politics of transporting migrants. Quote, something that looked like a punitive thing towards immigrants done for political gains suddenly turned itself on the head because migrants are rational people, says Muzaffar Christi, a senior fellow at the Migration Policy Institute. Not only could they get a free ticket to a family or a shelter, but they found these cities were actually quite hospitable to migrants, said Christie. Government agencies and nonprofits in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and New York have welcomed tens of thousands of immigrants bussed from the border. In many cases, they provide food, shelter, legal services, and help with transportation. Some arrivals move on quickly. In Philadelphia and D.C., between 5 to 10% of the arrivals remained in shelters or subsidized housing as of mid-January, according to data provided by city officials. Chicago officials did not provide enough data to make the comparison. In New York, where there is a right to shelter law, more than 26,000 asylum seekers are staying in city-run shelters as of January 8th, according to a city spokesperson. Democrats have started to adopt the process. Cities and states led by Democrats started busing immigrants last year, with some tweaks. In El Paso, the Democratic administration bused more than 13,000 people as of the fall, outstripping buses from the state of Texas in some cases. At the time, Mayor Oscar Leeser said he was coordinating with officials in the receiving cities, unlike Governor Abbott. However, the city stopped its own busing program in October, and the only government-backed bus program there now is run by the state of Texas, according to a city spokesperson. Then, in December, thousands of people started showing up in Denver on their own. The city set up emergency shelters as temperatures dipped outside, but it also bought individual bus tickets for 1,900 people, helping them get to 35 states, according to data provided by local officials. Quote, it goes along with food and shelter and clothes and toiletries. Those bus tickets are part of the huge humanitarian effort, says Josh Rosenblum, a city and county spokesperson. The politics remain tricky. Ugh, my nose will not stop itching. Colorado's Democratic governor, Jared Polis, announced in early January that the state would also charter buses from Denver to other cities, but just a few days later, he halted the program after mayors of Chicago and New York asked him to stop. In a statement, Polis directed the blame elsewhere. Quote, the federal government and Congress, unfortunately, have failed the American people on immigration reform and border security, he said, while urging the Biden administration and Congress to set aside funds for states helping migrants. Christie says the busing controversy is a wake-up call for politicians and hopes it will encourage a more coordinated, federally backed system for helping migrants move around the country. In Arizona, another revamped busing program is in the works. Murphy Herbert, communications director for the Arizona governor's office, says the new administration has an obligation to use the $15 million appropriated by the legislature to transport immigrants away from border areas. Remember, these border areas are not exactly the ideal place to be, even if you're especially if you're a migrant. There's not a lot of job opportunities. It's not really nice or anything. You kind of very quickly want to start getting deeper into America once you get past the border. Quote, we are reallocating those funds to a program that is more effective and more humanitarian, she says. That could include chartering buses or other forms of transportation. While there is no timeline for when it will roll out, quote, it is a priority, says Hebert. Preliminary federal data for 2023 shows a drop in the number of people crossing into the U.S., taking off some pressure to figure it out. So funnily enough, this thing that basically, the whole migrant busing thing, which started off as a political ploy by Republicans to try to get one over on Democrats by pointing to some imagined hypocrisy, has actually transformed, given Democrat politicians in these blue states and blue cities an idea, and they've gone, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's actually instead pay for bus tickets so that migrants can get free transportation to their final destination they're trying to get to, instead of having to hitchhike and walk and catch rides across the country. Yeah, sure. Just completely flipped it around. That's really, really funny. The Republicans did their little political ploy, and it gave the Democrats an idea to do something actually beneficial and humanitarian. Once again, another reason why you should vote Democrat. And not only, God, my nose. Not only why you should vote Democrat, but why you should actually volunteer and do direct action and try to help get Democrats into office beyond just going out and voting. For example, if you do !PV in my chat, you will get a link to the Progressive Victory Protect Contraceptives link, where you can volunteer to, well, notably they're fighting to protect contraceptive rights, but they're generally fighting to keep Republicans out of power across the board in many, many big states where the things are looking a little contested. So if you want to volunteer, you can go as far as going out to the canvassing houses and going door to door to get people to vote for the Democrat candidate, or you can just phone bank from home. Regardless, consider checking out Progressive Victory. There'll be a link down below in the description. Ugh, my nose will not stop itching. Jesus. Ugh. God. Some nose hairs were just tickling my nostrils the whole time. Not fun. What do you guys think of that segment? I feel like it came out really good. Good seggy? Good seggy weggy? Nice. All right. Once again, I want to repeat, if you guys are enjoying the stream and you want to support me, you can do so for completely free simply by hitting that thumbs up button over on YouTube. Every single like goes a really long way, so I really appreciate it, every single one of you who does that. And of course, if you want to support the stream financially, it always helps, every little bit does. If you want to donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, or support me through YouTube, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or even buy some merch. There's links all down below in the description. No matter how you support me though, even if you don't donate, I really do appreciate it. Just being here means a lot. But God, my nose needs to stop itching. That's for damn sure. Ugh. Home state mentioned, good segment. Nice. Okay, guys. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. This is coming out from 6 hours ago on CNN Politics. Trump defense strategy in January 6th case may go beyond trying to delay trial, court filings reveal. Oh boy. Much of Donald Trump's legal strategy in his federal 2020 election interference case has, so far, centered around trying to delay the start of his March trial until after the November presidential election. But in recent court filings, and according to sources familiar with Trump's team's approach, other defense strategies have emerged, namely of absolving Trump, the frontrunner of the GOP nomination, of responsibility for the U.S. Capitol attack and positioning him as a victim of disinformation and overzealous government investigators. Two under-the-radar court filings from Trump's team in late November offered the clearest glimpse yet into what the former president's lawyers may try to argue before a jury in the historic case. The filings say that his lawyers hope during the trial to point to people in the federal government he suspects are biased towards him, to foreign influence, and to election disinformation that led him to believe the 2020 contest was stolen. The foreign interference defense. Trump's team has already asked a judge to allow him access to more government documents, including classified information from his administration, that he believes would back up his argument that the election result couldn't be trusted. Prosecutors cannot blame Trump. So what he's trying to argue is that he could only reasonably believe the election was stolen from his position. That is hilarious. That is not a good argument to try to position himself from. To try to argue that he reasonably believed that the election was stolen. Quote, evidence of covert foreign disinformation campaigns relating to the 2020 election supports the defense argument that President Trump and others acted in good faith, even if certain reports were ultimately determined to be inaccurate. One of the foreign actions they've pointed to came from Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service and a hack of SolarWinds software that compromised data at several federal agencies in December 2020. Trump's legal team wrote that attack meant, quote, there was reasonable concerns about the integrity of the election and the possibility of technical penetrations of election infrastructure. The fact is that Russia has been demonstrated in federal court to be in favor of Trump. So there's no reason to believe that the election would be insecure at the detriment of Trump. And not only that, but experts were coming out to say, and I quote, so much so that it's become a meme for Trump supporters to repeat sarcastically as if it's not true, that, quote unquote, the 2020 election was the most secure election in history. Which is true. If you go by what the experts are saying, there was absolutely no reason to believe that this election was not going to be fair. One of the foreign actions they've pointed to came from Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service and a hack of the SolarWinds software that compromised data at several federal agencies in December 2020. Trump's legal team wrote... Oh yeah, sorry, I already read that line. My bad. There is no evidence that the SolarWinds attack is connected to the election systems, and officials have repeatedly found no evidence of widespread election fraud. Can't stop repeating that, by the way. Trump's recent court filings also seek access to intelligence about Iran and China attempting to interfere in U.S. politics. The Justice Department has argued that allowing evidence into the case regarding possible false claims by foreign actors could confuse a jury and is not relevant to Trump's state of mind when he pushed false claims of election fraud publicly. Nice, they're not letting him slip out of it. Trump team looks to special counsel investigators. Trump's team is also trying to unearth how other investigative agencies in the federal government looked at his actions after the 2020 election, as a way of trying to highlight that he wasn't charged until a special counsel was appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland in November 2022. Undermining the prosecution by pointing to politics could be an opportunity to help Trump before a jury, sources familiar with the strategy told CNN. The special counsel's office is asking Judge Tanya Chutkan to block any attempts Trump makes to nullify his jury, which his lawyers could do by trying to inject politics into the evidence presented. Nullifying means convincing at least one juror to vote to acquit him, even if prosecutors prove the case against him beyond a reasonable doubt. Yeah, so jury nullification is one of those things that it's like you're not even allowed to talk about in the courtroom, especially not if you're a jury member. It's a really weird and rare thing that happens. Central to the strategy are the Justice Department prosecutors who worked on allegations of fraud and the fake electors scheme in 2020 and 2021 for the Justice Department, before joining the special counsel's team, as well as Michael Sherwin, the former acting D.C. U.S. attorney who spoke to 60 Minutes about the possibility of sedition charges related to the Capitol attack. Trump's team has asked the court to expand the legal definition of the prosecution team to include other agencies, including the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., so prosecutors would be prompted to turn over extensive documents from them to Trump's defense team for review. That could slow down the case, some of the sources told CNN. Quote, based on public statements from attorneys on behalf of the USAO-DC that are inconsistent with the special counsel's theory of January 6, it is virtual certainty that there are similar non-public documents and private communications relating to this issue, Trump's team wrote to the court in late November. Pointing to political bias against Trump, Trump's team has also said members of the intelligence community and law enforcement who may become trial witnesses may have political bias against him. Even so, several of Trump's former cabinet members, such as then Attorney General Bill Barr, then Vice President Mike Pence, and several top intelligence officials could be called to testify against him at the trial. Many were vocal after the election that there was no widespread fraud and have in recent months criticized Trump. Trump's team has also noted that it may be tested at trial whether he believed he would have won the 2020 presidential election had it not been for widespread voter fraud. But the prosecution's charges against Trump signal they've gathered significant evidence of top advisors in both his campaign and administration telling him the results meant he could not win, and that he ignored the facts to rally his supporters to violence. Prosecutors from special counsel Jack Smith's office within the Justice Department are trying to eliminate before the trial many of these defenses, highlighting them to TruthCon in recent filings. Basically, they're getting all of the obvious bullshit defenses he's going to try to make off the table. Prosecutors from special counsel Jack Smith's office within the Justice Department are trying to eliminate before the trial. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I keep reading the same line because I look away and then I look back and I forget which line I was on. It will be up to TruthCon to determine if the tactics Trump's team has hinted at can be used at trial, and what exactly the lawmakers are able to present to the jury before witnesses and evidence. The court should not prevent the defendant to turn the courtroom into a forum in which he propagates irrelevant disinformation, and should reject his attempt to inject politics into the proceeding, unquote. The prosecutors wrote in a filing days after Christmas, quote, evidence is not relevant upon a party's mere say-so. It must be connected to the charges and the incitement or to a legitimate defense supported by sufficient evidence. Trump doesn't have a deadline at this time to respond to the DOJ's filings in court, and TruthCon doesn't have the ability to set parameters for the trial and evidence gathering while part of Trump's case is being appealed. So Trump is basically doing everything possible to just try to, pick things apart and delay and delay and delay and buy time. He's stalling, basically. I wouldn't be surprised if that interaction that happened in the SpongeBob movie, where the King Neptune and his daughter are going back and forth, and the daughter is like, you think I'm stalling. Yes, you're stalling. You think I'm stalling. That was actually a unironically based modern SpongeBob joke. I wouldn't be surprised if that exact interaction happened between Trump and the judge in court. He's just trying to make it to election day because he thinks if he can get elected, he can instill Project 2025, become the de facto ruler of the country. There will be no term limits. There will be no next election, and he'll just be able to get away with all of it. That's what he's hoping. A question of timing. Trump's trial is currently scheduled for the 4th of March in Washington, D.C.'s federal court, the day before the Super Tuesday nominating contests, but the date could move as Trump continues to pursue appeals, and delays in the appellate court's decisions could quickly push the schedule back months. I hate bureaucracy. The most likely delay may come from the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, which is hearing arguments January 9th on whether Trump has immunity from being tried as a criminal defendant because his role as president in the impeachment trial where he was acquitted by the U.S. Senate following the January 6th attack. Ooh, that's really the big one, is the determination of whether or not he can be tried as a criminal. The Supreme Court is also likely to be asked to look at those issues before Trump's trial can begin. Trump also continues to pursue appeals over a gag order TruthCon placed on him in October, which was recently refined by the D.C. Circuit. The former president has argued the unfairness of that order should prompt the delay of his trial date until after the election, but that argument has gained no traction in the courts. Let's hope he doesn't get away with this one, guys, but we all know that when it comes to legality, Trump is pretty much a professional escape artist. He's gonna have a lot of fall guys. That's the fact of it, though. Trump's go-to, like, method for defending himself when all other methods fail is having fall guys. People who take the fall for him. It's what, yeah, he's Teflon Don. His fans call him Teflon Don and brag about how no criminal charges can stick to him. And it's not that they, like, the criminal charges are false or incorrect. It's just that wealthy, powerful people are able to get out of shit like this quite easily. Well, if Trump starts sounding less angry, that would start worrying me again. That's true. If Trump starts to come off as calm and collected and cool, that'll be concerning, because that might mean that behind the scenes things are going well for him and he's managing to push things and get by on technicalities or weird, hyper pedantic points. The real worry is what percentage of jurors are Trump supporters? What is the chances that more than half of the jurors are Trump supporters? That's the real question. No one on that jury isn't going to know what Jan 6th was or who Trump, not know who Trump was. No one there isn't going to know who Trump is. So the question is, how many of them hate Trump and how many of them are Trump fanatics? That'll be the real question. That'll be the big decider, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm curious to see what people think is going to happen with this one in the comments, personally. So comment down below what you think is going to come out of this, whether or not we're really going to get him this time. Have we got him? Do we finally have him? We'll see. I know that was a shorter segment, but I feel like it was a good one. What do you guys think of that one? Feel like it came out pretty good. Hell yeah. Remember, guys, drop a like if you're watching the stream and enjoying. It really does help a lot. Every single like goes a long way. Even if you're watching the VOD after the fact, it helps a lot. God, I'm really excited for Ethan to get back from his trip that he's on, so that after segments I can... What we're planning on doing is starting a SevTech Ages world and playing it together after I do my segments, like in call, and maybe even doing dual... like response videos, like dual reacts to conservative chud bullshit while playing the game, and maybe even doing call-ins as well, where it's like me and Ethan on call, and then I bring people in to do call-ins on like every other Friday. I think would be cool. So I'm super fucking excited. I've got a lot of cool ideas. I finally am not sick with COVID. I finally got stable housing. My sleep schedule isn't fucked. We're so back. Sorry I couldn't talk. I was seeing a lot of patients. You're literally a doctor. You're a medical professional. You have nothing to apologize for. You have a very important job. I don't know. It's always so crazy to me whenever someone's like, yeah, I served like in the military, or I'm a doctor or something, or I'm a parent, and they tell me they watch my content, and it's like, god damn, that both validates me a lot, but also makes my imposter syndrome flare up like a motherfucker. I doubt that's true, Scapegoat. Or at least I doubt that it's a, like, shit-talking drama video. Even if it is, I'm not engaging. Yeah, sorry, I haven't been talking, managing a nuclear reactor. God damn. What are you, Homer Simpson? Alrighty, let me get the next segment ready. The title is inflammatory. We're not engaging. It's fine. Alright. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. Oh boy, oh boy. We've got some good news coming out of the White House. Joe-based Biden is unveiling some new based policy. I bet you guys did not see this one coming. This is a White House website fact sheet. President Biden's cap on the cost of insulin could benefit millions of Americans in all 50 states. As part of President Biden's historic Inflation Reduction Act, nearly 4 million seniors on Medicare with diabetes started to see their insulin costs capped at $35 per month this past January, saving some seniors hundreds of dollars for a month's supply. But in his State of the Union, President Biden made clear that his life-saving benefit should apply to everyone, or this life-saving benefit should apply to everyone, not just Medicare beneficiaries. This week, Eli Lilly, the largest manufacturer of insulin in the United States, is lowering their prices and meeting that call. Eli Lilly announced they are lowering the cost of insulin by 70% and capping what patients pay out of pocket for insulin at $35. This action, driven by the momentum from the Inflation Reduction Act, could benefit millions of Americans with diabetes in all 50 states and U.S. territories. The president continues to call on Congress to finish the job and cap costs at $35 for all Americans. This would be unfathomably fucking based. Obviously, you see a lot of conservative, like, Nosbel types, like, virtue signal about why doesn't Biden and the Democrats cap insulin? Well, now they're trying to do it. And I've seen nobody talking about how Biden is trying to do this, and he's facing political resistance from the right. I've seen no one talking about this. The below data breaks down how many adults are living with diabetes in each state, highlighting the cumulative number of adults that could experience lower insulin costs from the Inflation Reduction Act's insulin cost cap for seniors, and industry follow-on actions. And data shows that these cost-saving measures will disproportionately impact communities of color, as Black, Hispanic, and American, Indian/Alaskan Native adults have higher rates of diabetes in the United States than white Americans. So it would also have that positive impact too, capping insulin. Additional information on how many seniors in each state are already benefiting from the president's historic actions are available here from the Department of Health and Human Services. The percentage of adults aged 18 years or older with diagnosed diabetes by racial or ethnic group, United States 2018 to 2019. American Indian or Alaska Native 14.5%, Hispanic 11.8%, non-Hispanic Asian 9.5%, non-Hispanic Black 12.1%, and non-Hispanic White 7.4%. Pretty substantial. Pretty substantial. Percentage of adults 18 or older with diagnosed diabetes in Alabama is 12.7%. You can literally go down this chart here. I can show screen so you guys can see it. We can go down this chart here and see that it breaks down by state the percentage of adults 18 or older that have been diagnosed with diabetes, and then the total flat number along with it. This is millions upon millions upon millions of Americans that would benefit from this insulin price cap. That is extraordinary. For those who don't know how, like, groundbreakingly big this is if Biden can get this passed, the prices of insulin have been one of the biggest issues that have been talked about and focused on by progressives and lefties, and mostly leftists in this country, for a long time. Here, I'm sure we can bring up a good video on it. Insulin price cap. This is from NBC News. I'm sure I won't get copyright struck by this. I'm sure we can handle the copyright power of NBC News now. Let's see what happens.
Original now with in-depth reporting on a topic we've been watching, and tonight it's about type 1 diabetes, because over a century ago today, somebody got the first ever successful insulin injection. Before that, type 1 diabetes was a death sentence. Death sentence. Patients who had it would often only survive a few weeks or months after diagnosis.
Yeah, it's not survivable without insulin. And not to mention, by the way, without insurance, currently, insulin can be hundreds of dollars. Oftentimes is hundreds of dollars. By the way, 11.6% in some of these states, is as high as you see some of these rates of diabetes for adults. That is a big percentage of voters in those states that is worth winning over. For sure, for sure.
Very different from today, where researchers say across the country, about 16% of diabetics actually skip insulin doses because of how expensive they are. If patients have little or no health insurance, it can cost up to $1,000 a month for insulin. More recently, Democratic legislators have been celebrating a cap on the price of insulin, but some critics say it doesn't go far enough. Zinkley Asimov has the story.
I think there are different types of insulin. Some are more potent or advanced. I don't really know the science behind it. And this is covering some of the cheaper, like, basic level insulin. So this is going to save lives and all, but it's definitely, like, the shoddiest version of this policy that could exist, but it's something. It's like an unprecedented step forward.
Laura Marston has type 1 diabetes.
I have to pay for this or I die in about 2 days.
She was diagnosed as a teenager.
At 14, to all of a sudden be told you have to give yourself injections, and it's very overwhelming.
And cost has always been a concern.
My first vial was $25, and now the exact same vial is $300.
She's one of over 1,600,000 adults.
$300 for a vial of shit you need to save your life. It's downright dystopian. You know, looking back at it, it kind of reminds me how much media must be inspired, like that I enjoyed when I was younger and just didn't get the references, is inspired by just really on-the-nose references to real-life events. Like, for example, there's a zombie series I really like, a zombie video game series I really like called Dead Rising. And part of the story is that, like, the zombie virus has existed in modern America for quite some time, and there's been a partial cure invented for it. And if you've been bitten, the only way to not turn and die is to get every 24 hours and eventually every 48 hours, and I think eventually weekly, injections of this stuff called Zombrex. And it's expensive, is not covered by insurance. People do insane shit to make money to afford their prescription or their loved ones' prescriptions. And I cannot imagine a world where that's not a reference to the struggle of type 1 diabetics in this country and the insane cost of this life-saving medication.
It's in the U.S. living with type 1 diabetes,
or really anything
an
like
autoimmune
this.
disorder where a person's pancreas cannot make insulin. Insulin prices in the U.S. remain the highest in the world, on average costing $98.70.
You guys know I used to live literally like less than an hour away from the border of the U.S. and Mexico, and there was a town not too far away from Palm Springs where people would go to, like, cross over the border, and right on the other side are dentists, surgeons, like pharmacies, like every medical thing you could imagine just right there on the other side of the border fence, all just 80% cheaper than they would be on the other side. Tons of Americans just cross over, that just park on one side, walk over the border, go and get some medical work done, walk right back over, and save thousands.
According to one study, prompting patients
Insulin's
to
a big
make dangerous
example.
decisions. In 2021, nearly 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. either skipped, delayed, or used less insulin than was needed to save money, according to an Annals of Internal Medicine study based on a CDC survey authored by physician Dr. Adam Gaffney.
Not taking insulin can precipitate a medical emergency.
And the risks are higher for Black insulin users, more likely to ration insulin, according to the survey. Insurance coverage matters too.
Also, people with private and health insurance also had higher rates than those with, say, Medicaid or Medicare.
As of January 2023, insulin costs are capped at $35 for Medicare recipients due to the inflation.
Currently, if you have government insurance, you already have cheaper insulin, but we're talking about, like, this is meant to expand the cap for all people paying out of pocket for insulin to $35 just across the board. It would be huge.
Reduction Act. But the price cap only applies to those with Medicare, excluding more than 21 million patients. Democrats initially proposed an insulin cap for people with private insurance, but that provision was removed in August 2022 by Senate Republicans. The bill's co-sponsor, Senator Tammy Baldwin, a Democrat.
It's what frustrates me so much, and I'm not trying to like drama bait here, I promise, but it's just the one person who comes to mind as a good example, Shoe on Head, with like her super weird, like fluctuating between hyper weird pseudo support for Republicans, but also on top of that, like virtue signaling literally about how insulin is too expensive. Like, I see people do that kind of shit. They talk about how the Republicans and the Democrats are just as bad as each other, but then they use examples of issues, or they use issues as an example that the Democrats are actively making unprecedented steps to solve. Like, nothing like this, as far as I'm aware, has ever been attempted by a Democrat president to this level of seriousness. This is a big W for Biden. There's just no denying it.
Told NBC News in part, quote, "No one should go bankrupt just to get the medication they need to live a healthy life." Dr. Gaffney points to pharmaceutical companies for the rising costs.
I think we need to move beyond a system of copays and deductibles to a system where people can get the care they need, regardless of their ability to pay.
NBC News reached out to the 3 largest manufacturers of insulin.
Eli Lilly, I don't know what this one is, and Novo Nordisk. Yeah, so those are like the big 3 big pharma companies. It's actually so fucking despicable that production of insulin and sale of insulin is literally lasered down to 3 companies that have a monopoly on this life-saving medication. Patents are fucking hell. Patents are not something I'm a big fan of when it comes to medicine. I almost think patents should be banned when it comes to medications and medicine. It feels like it's just abused. The concept of being able to have a monopoly on a medication is just abused so much.
Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi. The companies responding in separate statements, saying in part, anyone paying more than $35 a month for Lilly insulin can call the Lilly Diabetes Solution Center. In 2022, approximately 63,000 patients in the U.S. received free insulins. And despite the rhetoric about skyrocketing insulin prices, the net price of insulin has fallen for 8 consecutive years, making our insulin significantly less expensive for insurance plans. For Laura, she says the new cap is a start, but leaves out users like herself.
You know, I'm lucky. I have insurance. I'm very privileged. I still hoard the dregs of my insulin vials in my tiny Washington, D.C. fridge.
Laura, still wary of the day she may run out of insulin.
It's a terrifying thought.
Is joining us now. So Zingle, you know, you talked about the number of people
who
delay or skip or don't take enough insulin. That, like, clearly and obviously has medical consequences, right?
Yeah, Hallie, and it has big ones, right? Because skipping doses, first of all, is alarming because of the number of people that we're hearing who are rationing, right? 1 in 5 U.S. adults with diabetes ration insulin, and they say they do that to save money. But Dr. Gaffney mentioned to me that there can be chronic effects of skipping doses, like long-term damage of the retina, your eye, damage to your kidneys, diabetic coma, or in the worst cases, Hallie, death. So the stakes are incredibly high, and this is not something people should take lightly.
It's really tragic that this has been the state of things for so long, that so many people have had to, like, live in fear that one day they're not going to have the ability to get their insulin, and any moment their life could come crashing down and possibly end. It's actually fucking terrifying, and I really, really hope Biden, A, gets the credit for how based this policy is, and B, I really hope that this actually goes through, and that there is enough willpower to push it, and that the Republicans don't block it like they have previous attempts to do this in the past. We'll see. Only time can tell. Based Biden, though. Biden W, undisputedly. That was just another short little segment, but I feel like it was a damn good one. What do you guys think? Good segment or nah? Good Seggy? Good Seggy? Like to see it. Like to see it. Nice, nice. New Gets, thank you for the tier 1 sub over on Twitch. I really appreciate that. So kind of you. Very based and pog. Oh, dude. The crazy thing is the YouTuber that got, like, fired by Papa Meat, like Meat Canyon, Miss Breezy. She's a trans woman who does, like, very, like, funny, like, edgy, little so random videos or whatever. They're not really my thing anymore, but back when I was a kid, like 10, 11, 12, and I guess she would be like 19, pre-transition, she had a channel called Cool Dude. And it was spelled like with leet speak. And she made Minecraft machinimas that were hilarious as fuck. I binge watched the fuck out of those things. She was No? What are you what? Did you just get, like, time warped from, like, 10 minutes ago? Wait, am I too tired? You might be too tired, Njord. I think you're too tired. Yeah. Wait, are you telling me Shoe's not a biological woman? What? Why would you freak out like that if she was? Okay. God, it's hard. Whoa! Fucking hell. Jump scare. It's already getting dark. I said Breezy. Miss Breezy. Not Shoe. I promise you. I know I did not misspeak there. Anyway, it's already getting dark to the point where, like, my natural lighting is fucked. So it's a good thing that I'm on to my last segment now, and we're about to wrap things up. Once again, I'm sorry for the this stream, or yesterday's stream, this stream, and probably tomorrow's stream too, being a little shorter than usual, although I'm doing the same amount of segments I would normally do. In the next couple days, me and Ethan are going to be starting a SevTech Ages Minecraft server world that's going to be stream only, and I'm going to be doing a lot more gaming after politics that'll go on a lot longer, and we're going to try to add in a little bit more organic, non-planned content into the streams in those segments too. So basically, streams will double in length on average. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be dope. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. All right, everybody. If you're watching, by the way, and you want to support me, consider dropping a like. Thumbs up really do go a long way, even if you're just watching the VOD. Just giving a thumbs up, dropping that like really does help the channel a lot. If you haven't done it already. I can't stop these hiccups. Oh, God. It basically forces the channel, or YouTube, to push my channel and my videos and my streams and everything further in the algorithm, so I really do appreciate it if you guys do that. It's completely free and it really means a lot. And of course, if you've got the money for it and you can afford to, you can always go ahead and donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Stream Elements, Streamlabs, or Patreon, or you can buy merch, link down below in the description. But with that said, it's time to get on to our last segment of the day. Alright. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So, one of the most hated people in all of the online right, as far as we are concerned, is Matt Walsh. He is a smug, overpaid, over-platformed douchebag who has way too many resources at his disposal to push his propaganda. Much like every other member of the Daily Wire, he's someone who has a failed background in another realm of entertainment. In this case, it's the realm of radio. In fact, there's a great clip of him that I feel I should always show if I'm going to cover Matt Walsh. It's sort of mandatory at this point, of what his radio days were like. Matt Walsh diaper fights. Here it is. Okay. So this is why it's so weird that Matt Walsh does the sweet baby gang thing this video is why I find that particularly weird. Notice, by the way, this grown man who is wrestling with another grown man, both in diapers, has a swastika tattooed on his back. This is hi Pornhub. This is what Matt Walsh was getting up to back in his radio days before Daily Wire. There we go. Tater. That's his name, Tater. That's about right. His name's Tater. Okay, I don't want to play copyrighted music. I just want to get to the Matt Walsh hosting. All right, here it is.
If Interne wins,
that's Matt
he can
Walsh.
somehow take down this giant behemoth. Yeah. He will get the opportunity just to spray Crank with mace in the face.
This is this is not happening with the mace.
It's gonna happen. It's a look. It's something that motivates him. Be here for that. So just beat him, and we'll figure out the mace thing. But just first thing is to beat him. So now, do they have to start in a wrestling position or what? How do you start this? Yeah, how does this work?
I think they just go like two
Matt Walsh
gladiators
did have a
in the
boner
arena.
this whole video, yes.
Man to man.
This looks like Florida.
Bear to baby Huey.
Sumo?
I bet this is Florida.
No, because that'll require ripping at the diaper, and I don't want to see the diaper come off.
No, you push. Just push. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we're not going to watch them fight, as Matt Walsh commentates, of course. But, personally, I think that is Matt Walsh's greatest moment of all time. Frankly, I don't think anything tops that. However, 3 days ago, Matt Walsh uploaded a video called Countdown of Matt Walsh's Most Viral Moments of 2023. So basically, this is a compilation of his, no doubt, worst, most cringe moments. So I figured we'd just go ahead and react to it on stream and just... I have no doubt there'll be some arguments here we can debunk, but it's most likely just going to be cringe. I haven't watched this yet. I never pre-watched, so let's dive right in. Off to an awful start. No shot. No shot. Hold on. Was he invited to play the Destroy All Humans remake for some promotion or something? Because if so, that is giga cringe. Or did he do a video where he played it and they just have like a screen behind him? Does he have like a segment where he plays video games? How dare he tarnish one of my favorite series this way? Was that him getting manhandled? I'm already cringing. Matt Walsh testifies in Tennessee.
Your educational background or your healthcare education experience?
Mr. Walsh, you recognized. My experience in healthcare?
Your educational background. I'm just curious.
This is the man who claimed that millions of kids had gotten on hormone blockers in like a 5-year span and on Joe Rogan, and then Joe Rogan's host, or like Jamie, his name was like, actually it's just a bit over 1,000 in 5 years. He's like, I would have guessed millions, but okay. That was after this, by the way. So that's the level of medical knowledge he has. If anyone needed something to use as a scale.
You've testified as to a lot of your own research. So I'm curious for what purpose you do that and what background you have to qualify you to speak to that.
Well, my background that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul.
This looks like an epic ode to conservatives. I guess I have to assume conservatives will watch this, like Matt Walsh fans will watch this. The reason why simply arguing I am a moral human being, I'm a basic human being, I see this as like an evident problem that any human being should feel a moral obligation to fight against. I assume he's referring to like trans healthcare here. The fact is that the overwhelming consensus of medical and scientific professionals across the board who have done many decades of research into sex, gender, and psychology around these topics have determined, unanimously at this point, that sex and gender are not the same thing, that trans people are valid, that transitioning is the cure for gender dysphoria, which is real and is valid. There's really not much else to tell you other than this guy is grifting and lying to you, and when confronted in court, it would seem, well, not court, but a committee, in a hearing on what his, like, actual qualifications are to advocate for this and talk about this, he's got nothing. All he can do is appeal to the everyman. Like, anyone could be up on stage like I am right now arguing this. You don't need to be a medical professional to be here. If there was a real problem, medical professionals would be screaming from the fucking rooftops about how this is an issue. The fact is they're not. And the people who are doing it are monetizing it shamelessly. Like, there's these, like, long disgraced doctors, like that one Dr. Anastasia Maria Lupis lady or whatever, who might not actually be a real doctor from what I've heard, who's like monetized and paywalled half the advocacy, quote unquote, she does. It's very clear that these are not people who care about issues. They're people who care about making money. These are not people who genuinely care about anyone. They're just grifting. They're just trying to make viral moments to make them get into the eyes of as many people as possible so they get more views and make more money. Politics is a business for these people, nothing else.
And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience. Also, I did, now it's true, I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn.
Oh yeah, of course he didn't go to college. This dude was a radio shock jock before he became a conservative lie spewer for a living.
How to read, so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I'm...
Yes. Here, can we show a perfect example of him reading the data for himself, actually? Here's another top moment of Matt Walsh in 2023. Let me see if I can find the video. The left is god-awful at spreading videos around that make the left look good in the culture war stuff. It's really, really a big problem. The left needs more, like, viral meme accounts and, like, culture hold online. Like, if an embarrassing clip... there should have been 10 times more memeage of fucking pronouns, fucking California shit. That should have been memed eternally so much harder. He should be the big red of the right now, and he's barely that, if anything. But here's a good example of Matt Walsh being able to read data.
How many people have had this done?
Depends on what... I don't think...
How many people have had this done?
Depends on what... I don't think we have exact numbers, but it's, if we're talking about the drugs, it's, I mean, millions.
You're talking about hormone blockers.
Yeah.
Millions of kids have been on hormone blockers.
Remember, hormone blockers are fully reversible, especially if you take hormones to reverse them. So, like, they're not needed, but, like, especially if you take hormones to reverse them, the, like, undoing of the effects of hormone blockers, if for some reason they were administered, like, unnecessarily, it's determined down the road, they're reversible. Hormone blockers are the cushion to assuage the fears that people like Matt Walsh supposedly have, but they rally against hormone blockers because the fact is they don't actually want some kind of, like, reasonable legality of transitioning healthcare. They want it to be completely banned. And so they have to pretend that hormone blockers are something that they literally, objectively are not. It's almost like hormone blockers are very similar for the right to the left and guns, right? So for me, I look at lefties talk about guns and be wrong about them, like about their functionality and what they can do. And it just makes me embarrassed because there's no subjectivity to that. They're hard chunks of steel and plastic. There's no subjectivity to what they can and can't do. They either can do this or can't do that or are this or aren't that. And And the same thing is true of medications like this. There's no subjectivity to what hormone blockers can do. Like, there is medical consensus on that, and that's it. The right is just as delusional about trans people as the left tends to be about guns. And so, as someone who's got knowledge in both fields, when I see the left say, like, assault weapon or fully semi-automatic, it's just as ridiculous to me as when Republicans say shit like hormone blockers are irreversible, when the point of hormone blockers are that they are the reversible thing, as opposed to hormones, which are far less reversible, but still are, because there are detransitioners. There are trans people who get, like, pretty far into taking their course of hormones, stop for whatever given reason, and then on their own end up regressing pretty damn close to back to where they started. And if they go back on hormones again, they can go back onto that path, but, like, in many cases, even hormones can be reversible.
Really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on me, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess. I can say for double mastectomies, I read a report recently that there were over 1,000 done between 2016 and 2019.
Over 1,000.
And when you compare that to how many were done between 2008 and 2015, it's a massive increase. And
that's the same case with the gay people as well.
And, over 1,000 girls had gender affirming double mastectomies in that time frame.
And when you say girls, you're talking about prepubescent,
right? Minors, and that's just up until 2019, and then we know that there's been this exponential increase with all this stuff year over year. So it's a lot. It's too many. Having this happen to one kid is way too many. It's a lot more than one.
Yeah.
This is only ever done under extreme medical supervision and consensus with doctors and psychologists and shit, if it's ever anyone, especially if it's anyone under the age of 18, but even when it's someone who's an adult.
Look, if you're an adult and you want to do that and you understand who you are and what you are and this is how you feel you should progress, you're an adult.
By the way, the implication that, like, Joe Rogan isn't transphobic as long as the trans people are 18 or above, he respects their decision, but if they're underage, he doesn't respect their identity, is this really weird, like, dude bro attempt to compromise. It feels like I feel like from Joe Rogan's perspective, he feels like that's a compromise, like, oh yeah, if you're an adult and you've reached an age where you can make decisions pretty reasonably without, like, completely regretting it, which is completely untrue, by the way. Like, 18 to 25, like, up until the age of 25 or older, you're still making decisions that you'll regret when you get older. But the fact is that your identity is something very deep down and like fundamental to you, especially your gender identity. And most trans people seem to overwhelmingly report having felt discordance with their assigned gender at birth since they were really young, like almost as long as they can remember. So it's really a nothing statement. It's, from his perspective, he feels like he's having a very center-leaning, like, reasonable, compromising take that's respectful to both sides and, like, cautious. But in reality, it's an uneducated and it's a take that indicates how little knowledge he has about this topic fundamentally, and the fact that he just listens to his guests, and that's, like, the only research he does. He's a dude who's heard a lot of shit. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of ruining this clip now, but Matt Walsh says millions of kids have gone on hormone blockers, and then this happens.
This is a free country. You should be able to do whatever you want. But when you're talking about doing that to children, the fact that so many people are on board and so many people are angry, if you have, like, people are going to be angry at us that we're having these conversations.
Yeah, they will be. And I also, I actually think that that this shouldn't be happening to.
It's a very small number, if that's right.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers.
Millions.
And had a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
This says it's kind of undercounted, but
that would be a big undercounting.
Less than 1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Less than 1,000 a year.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess, hundreds of thousands at this, but I could be wrong.
Now he's gone down to hundreds of thousands to make how wrong he was look less bad. Like, I would guess hundreds of thousands, but, you know, it is what it is. Here, my camera is fucking not enjoying how dark it is. Let me turn up the gain real quick. Let me turn up the gain. The GAN. There we go. Things are going to be a little fuzzy, but at least you guys can see me now. And it doesn't look like I'm consumed by shadows. Anyway, that's one of my top Matt Walsh moments of 2023, personally. That's my response to him saying he can read. He can read the data.
Done.
Representative Clemens, you're
And for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the things I try to do.
You don't use it
Clemens.
to... Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't use it to get clicks on your publication?
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
On
No, I really like the
Mr.
idea
Walsh.
of getting of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing. I don't.
That was an own for him? I know, Blood Ghoul. We're not engaging with drama. We're not engaging with drama, okay?
Want to thank the governor and the lawmakers here in Mississippi who have done the right and necessary thing by banning the horrific medical abuse of children. I'm extremely encouraged to not only see this law being passed, but to see the national movement that we have been able to build, pushing back against the gender.
I like how this has 331 viewers. What is this? Some kind of, like, public statement he made at some, like, Mississippi conference, I guess?
Ideology madness that has a stranglehold on our society and on our children for far too long. The reality is that this is not a difficult issue, as the governor's already covered. It's quite straightforward, in fact. If we lived in a sane society run by sane people, we would all be able to agree on this point. The question of whether it's ever okay to castrate and sterilize and mutilate a child would be answered in one.
Notice how there's not really, like, one of the interesting things about this is how people like Matt Walsh, these, like, dishonest propagandists, they're not even honest enough, or they don't even pretend to be honest enough to engage with the argument, right? Like, Matt Walsh doesn't have debates or engage with an argument as to whether or not the scientific majority opinion that trans people are valid is a valid point. He doesn't have that debate. He operates and speaks completely under the presupposition that every single position he's advocating for is not only proven true, which it's not, but everybody watching already agrees. So it's less so that he's convincing with his rhetoric, and it's more so that he tries to convince people that everyone already believes what he's saying, and that if you don't already, then you're some kind of outlier. And you don't want to be an outlier, do you? And then he throws in some, like, snide comments about those that disagree with him, so those that watch feel kind of shame if they don't agree with his position.
One loud and unified voice saying without hesitation, not only no, but hell no. That is how all normal, common sense, decent Americans answer the question. And they don't have to think about it.
It's nothing. It's basically just him trying to make transitioning sound scary.
This is an important question. You said you're an EMT. Yes. Okay, if you're responding to a health emergency. Biological male, somebody with a penis is having a medical emergency. And they say to you, I think I'm having a miscarriage. Would you check them to see if they're having a miscarriage? Would you consider that a possibility for them?
What? Okay. Mr. Walsh, how can you tell someone has a penis when you walk up to them? This is the big, like, meme with these conservative types, is they seem to operate under the assumption that everybody knows the genitals of everyone that they're talking to, or that that's like a thing that's immediately on everyone else's mind. Like, let's say you walk up to a guy who reports that he's had a miscarriage and you're a paramedic, but he's got a penis. Would you still offer him medical care? And it's like, how would you know he has a penis? Are you already offering medical care? Is he naked? What's happening in this example? This weird hypothetical is bizarre. I guess the point he's trying to make is people who are trans are delusional and believe that they have biological functions that they don't. So in this hypothetical, and you wouldn't operate on them medically under the assumption that their claim was true, then that's an epic own on trans people. It's like, it's nothing garble. It's beyond nothing garble. No argument was made here. Like I said, he doesn't engage with the argument of whether or not trans people are valid. He operates and debates under the assumption everyone already agrees trans people aren't valid, and tries to question people about why they believe what they believe when what they believe is wrong. It sounds like that's what debating is, but it's not. It's him trying to fish for dunks.
Look. No, but...
Yeah, that person's clearly dumbfounded by how stupid that question is. Like, so for those who don't know, if you're ever in one of these situations where you, like, go up to the stage and you like, talk into the mic when there's some conservative pundit there, you better be confident in front of a crowd, because you are surrounded by a very hostile audience. He has the podium. He has 2 mics to amplify his voice above anybody who could be, like, asking a question. So if you get like stopped, you've got to be ready to immediately come back with something, even a pause, and that gives people time to start clapping and laughing in response to what Matt Walsh did. This guy relies heavily on people, like, giving more support from chat.
That's because some people don't have body parts. Doesn't mean they're not a woman.
Okay. Sounds like we've established there are some people who, in principle, can get pregnant, and there are some people who can't. So there's 2 categories, otherwise known as binary.
Lots of women...
Well, yeah, like they were about to say, lots of cis women cannot get pregnant, and lots of cis men cannot make a cis woman get pregnant. So it's like, you can't set the standard of this imaginary binary on whether or not one can give birth.
Can't get pregnant either.
Yeah, but they're still of the nature to get pregnant.
But they can't get pregnant.
What's that mean?
Yes, but
Truth matters,
That's
right?
what that means. No, ask what that means. What does that mean? What does of the nature to get pregnant mean? They can't. Are you telling me you can see into an alternate universe in which they're supposed to have had to been able to? Can you see into parallel universes? Like, if they're a dishonest actor, get dishonest with them. Nitpick and question every single stupid argument they make.
It does. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Truth matters, and they can't get pregnant. That's the truth. So how are they still women?
Because they are...
Wait, how is this a viral, like, moment owned for him? Wait, he just got paused. He just paused for a second while people in the crowd went, oh.
For the same reason that I can rightly say that human beings have 2 legs. And if a person is born with only 1 leg, that doesn't call into question the statement that human beings have 2 legs, okay?
That is not at all a valid comparison. Here's a valid comparison. Let's say someone makes the statement, all humans are bipedal. And you're like, well, no. There are a lot of people that have no legs or 1 leg, and I'm sure there are people who have 3. I mean, well, there are definitely people who got that 3rd leg, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, the fact you can't make a broad statement like, quote unquote, all humans are bipedal when exceptions to that claim exist. And then in response to that, like, argument, Matt Walsh, if he was the one claiming that all humans are bipedal, and I made that argument, and we're, like, following through here, his response would be, but all humans are of the nature to be bipedal. He would argue that all humans are supposed to have two legs, and to be able to walk around what he would call normally. And so the existence of outliers doesn't eliminate the existence of this binary he claims exists, because the people who fall outside of that binary, they don't matter, because, you know, they aren't supposed to exist. And if you ask him what that means, then he'll probably go on some borderline eugenics-fueled ramble.
A person being born with one leg doesn't mean that now legs are on a spectrum, and we can't say anything at all about how many legs a person has. Who knows? They could be a centipede. You know, they could have 100 legs.
He's just gish-galloping nothing statements here, trying to overwhelm this person.
No, we know human beings have two legs. If a human is born without two legs, something went wrong. They were supposed to have that second.
Dude, I literally predicted it. I literally predicted exactly what dumbass argument he would try to make. That he could make the statement that all humans are bipedal and the outliers don't matter because all humans are supposed to be bipedal, whatever supposed to means. This is the bit where, like, his religious beliefs are kind of having an impact there, and this is where it becomes literally impossible to argue with these people in this format. Like, you'd have to have them in, like, a one-on-one on a call in order to have this type of debate. Like, you can't... All you can hope for is to fish for a good gotcha to post on Twitter from a circumstance like this.
Second leg, something went wrong. If you meet a person on the street who only has one leg, maybe they had an accident, maybe they were in war, maybe something, you know, maybe they were in a car accident.
Frankly, I feel like the best thing you could do in a situation like this, where you're going up on stage to try to, like, debate Matt Walsh or whatever, would be to not even engage with him in, like, a long-form debate format, so to say. Like, if you literally just went up there, took the mic, asked him a really hard question, then lampshaded his response that you can predict by pointing out how stupid it is, so that he can't just immediately go to his number one, like, response he would normally have to that question, and then walk away. Just say something along the lines of, I'll give you time to figure out a response that isn't yada, 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 and then walk away. Just walk the fuck away from the mic. Don't engage any further. Get your line out, let him have the last word or whatever, but you just walk the fuck away, and he's just going to be stumbling and stuttering, like, a response like, okay, well, he walked away, but, like, I guess I'll respond. You'll look way better if you just make a statement that points out how stupid and hypocritical he is without letting him interrupt, and then walking away and not engaging further. I genuinely feel like Matt Walsh would stop doing these live events. Well, I think he already did, to be fair. But back when he did them, he would have stopped them way sooner if that's the way people confronted him more often. Because he relies on drawing it out with gish galloping to make himself look good. If you just get in and attack his point and then don't let him gish gallop a bullshit response and just walk away, he looks dumb.
Maybe they had cancer, a leg was cut off. But you know that something went wrong because by their nature, they're supposed to have two legs. Same thing for a woman. A woman by her nature can get pregnant. A man by his nature never can. So if you...
Well, a woman by their nature, by definition, is someone who has been designated woman by doctors when they were born, and a man is someone who is designated by doctors a man when they were born, and then later on in life they can identify that way differently. That's what the majority of academics and experts agree on, so... Oh god, my nose will not stop itching, Christ. So I really don't know what he's trying to get at. It's just nothing. It's just bullshit. He's not engaging with reality. It's hard to even argue with this when he's not even arguing from a position that is adjacent to real life.
Meet a woman of childbearing age, say she's 28 years old, and she can't get pregnant, you know automatically that something has gone wrong. And she can go to the doctor and find out what that thing is, even if they can't fix it. So that proves that women by their nature can get pregnant, because the simple fact that she can't shows you that there's something wrong. This is what is known as the...
Well, no, The argument that the ability to get pregnant is what makes a woman is what you're arguing. Not that the existence of, or in some cases they don't exist, the supposed necessary, what was supposed to happen existence of certain sexual organs means that this is what a woman is. You never even argued that from the get-go. And even if that is what you were arguing, it's a nothing argument, because you can't, as a human, argue what was supposed to happen in an alternate timeline than our own. Fun fact, Zan, the etymology of the word woman comes from the Old English wifman, or wife man, who is a person who's your wife. Interesting.
The exception that proves the rule. Whereas if a male with a penis can't get pregnant...
So that means boy wives were the original femboys. I see.
No doctor on earth is going to run tests to see what's wrong with him. Because they already know it's that he's a male, and there's only male and female, those who can get pregnant and those who can't. So...
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a hostile audience to the person questioning. They knew what they were getting into going in there. But I will say, if conservatives want to try to argue the perspective that woman and man is just whether or not there is supposed to be certain sexual organs, then they can do that, but they're going to run into a lot of problems when it comes to intersex people. I guess they could try to make the same argument there, but like down to the hormones and the chromosomes, they're not XX or XY, you know, they're not male or female. So it's really, I don't know. At the end of the day, the overwhelming majority of doctors, scientists, and medical professionals across the board, like, laugh and scoff at what Matt Walsh says as blatant medical misinfo. So I'm kind of just arguing with the wall here.
All right, that's it. That's...
Dancing with the Stars?
Let's just try some stuff. Let's
do
just
it.
see what you've got. Okay, so...
He went on Dancing with the Stars? Dude, it's actually putrid how much mainstream attention Daily Wire is getting. They probably have a really big PR team that just tells people they're YouTubers or like big social media. No, he did not. Okay, so what is this? Is this literally just him learning to dance or like a parody? I forgot he did that. Yeah.
Let's just start very, very simple today.
Okay.
And we'll just hold this rhythm nice and tight. Okay?
It's kind of a this thing that you're doing.
Nope,
this is
it's
just
not
him learning
front
to
back.
dance.
It's a really side to
Well, I
side.
think this is what you're doing.
You can mirror me, actually. You know, just like...
Now, when you say mirror, you mean...
Right. Like if you were looking at a mirror and I looked like you...
Okay, we're not... Yeah, okay. 6-ish minutes with Ryan Webb.
From the moment she decided to live her truth, Ryan Webb knew she was in the fight of her life. Living under the oppression of heteronormative standards is considered business as usual to most women. But Ryan faced a different learning curve. Many of the everyday experiences of women were new to her because until a few months ago, this lesbian woman of color identified as a cisgender white man. Ryan knew her stunning bravery would make her a target, but she never anticipated the amount of hate she would face from her new community.
Is this literally like a troll?
This is a big moment for Ryan Webb. Agreeing to an interview after revealing her identity as a transgender lesbian of color.
Okay, so this is literally like a troll video they made. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's about what I expected. Matt Walsh is demonic. Matt Walsh is fucking demonic, dude. I really can't think of someone more contemptible that's in this space than him. Like, how smugly wrong he is and how successfully smugly wrong he is. It's very, very hard to not hate him. And on top of that, he's really boring. He's really, really boring. His audience is mostly boomers that have just kind of fallen to him as like their new Tucker Carlson replacement. So it's become so tiring to have to cover him because he's really influential, but he's also so fucking boring. I don't really have fun covering his stuff like I do other figures. Anyway, that is the worst of Matt Walsh 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed. What do you guys think of that segment? I feel like it came out pretty damn good, final segment of the stream. Oh. Epic seggy? Good seggy? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm glad to hear that. You finally saw me greet Pornhub, yeah. Alright, everybody. I am a tired boy, so I must wrap up stream. I've got some stuff I gotta do today before bed, but besides that, I'm excited to stream tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and, yeah. It'll be epic. First Zan stream I've stayed for the entirety of. Hell yeah. Hopefully you're enjoying. But with all that said, guys, you've all been amazing today. I love you all very much. In the next few days, streams will start to get much longer. Don't you guys worry. But for now, I'm just doing more condensed streams with same amount of topics as I normally do. Just a bit shorter. But with all that said, guys, thank you so much for watching.